Hello, everybody. Nice to see everybody. It is Shipyard, STARJUMP Shipyard. Nice to see you all. It is, what day is it? It's Thursday. It's Thursday night. If you're on the East
You
Coast
sure?
like me, it is.
Are
I
you
think so.
sure?
I think so. I am.
I'm meant to be doing the sleep prep. I
I,
actually just woke. I woke up about 2 hours ago. I slept for 16 hours.
Good. What we're trying to do is wear execute out to the point where he has a mental break.
No, I think that's past. As I said, I slept for 16 hours. I think I'm good now.
Nice
Yeah.
to see everybody starting to pile in, though. I hope you're all doing well. We are in our post IAE phase here. So I imagine we'll see the numbers overall come down. Some of that Star Citizen excitement, that was going hard during IAE will start to settle out. But if you're tuning in now, that must mean you're a diehard. So thanks for hanging out. We do have the question bot running. You can just type question and then your question. It will pick it up. We are going to get to questions a little bit throughout the show. There's a lot of questions from the last show that we're going to try to answer too. So if you tuned in last time and answered a question that was not, or asked a question that was not answered, we will try to get to it. Tonight we are talking about engineering. With me, as always, is Art, who you can't hear, but is here vocally. Although I might get Art's picture up here in just a minute.
Spiritually, he's here spiritually.
Producing the show from behind the scenes, obviously, and then of course Execute's joining us once again from the Info Runners. Execute, how you doing today? It's been a unexpectedly busy day. Just in terms of back channel communication.
16 hours in bed. Yeah, it was late. It was busy as fuck. I'm starting to. It usually takes me about a week to recuperate. By the way, because I just get that exhausted. My body needs time to kind of recharge and stuff. But yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. The 16 hours sleep will do it for you.
It's a weird time because you're usually post IAE. We hey, and VMXEO's in chat. By the way, real quick, let me pause before we even continue anymore. I've gotten probably today more than any other day. I've had more questions about when the new ships are hitting Fleet Viewer than any other day. I've probably gotten 40 DMs today on Discord alone about the
numbers.
I know. Just on this one subject. I can confidently announce to you all that we are very close. One ship is left to do, and it is in progress. VMXEO has delivered all the other ships to me. I have got the VMXEO just said, when are the new Fleet Viewer ships going? I just got them all. All the other ships, though, they're all prepped. They're all conformed. All the metadata is done. It's handed over to Starlet. She'll probably push them all once we have the last one. So we are very, very close, everybody, and you'll be able to spawn your new ships.
I love that VMX has done his job and he's now like, when are we getting it? When are we getting it? He's just like cracking the whip. Like,
I tell you, before the end of this, I'm gonna owe VMXEO like a Kraken or something for sure. But we're gonna try to help the boy out with a GPU.
It'll only be this big, but like No,
it'll be a 3D printed 2-inch long Kraken.
Keyring for his keyring.
Oh, look, what do I got? I got the IAE logo still on. I need to take that off. We're no longer IAE. So that is now off. Yes, but anyways, it's nice to see everybody. Hope you're all doing well. It's what I was going to say there, though, was it's kind of that weird time, right, where it's post IAE. Usually it's a quiet time in Star Citizen. We do get the December patch. Sometimes it's got a few interesting things in it, but and Luminalia starts, which sometimes can be interesting. But oh boy, was today kind of a big one when we got the engineer. Was the engineering document, was that today too, or was that yesterday?
I haven't seen the document.
Okay.
I have seen the tools and stuff. I've been sleeping for 16 hours, so you're probably more up on this than I am.
Yeah, I'm actually going to send you. I'm actually going to DM you the link as well. Execute that they posted, just so you have it and can reference it. It's a long one, but obviously they dropped the engineering design doc, so that dropped on Spectrum again. I wish CIG had a blog section of the website that wasn't on Spectrum, that they could post stuff like this. Yeah, it's a lot. So that,
it's like 6 posts.
I know. It's crazy. I know, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
So we're obviously going to be talking all engineering stuff tonight. I know there's a lot of you out there, and credit goes to Execute for this idea. Hey, Kavotha. Hey, everyone in chat. It is nice to see you all. Execute had this idea again. A lot of people have a lot of strong opinions about engineering, even though this is technically the first day we've gotten the information about it. But that being said, on our Discord, on the STARJUMP Discord, there is a channel called Stream Chat Waiting Room. If you want to have your voice on stream, ask a question or voice a concern, when we get to that part of the show, you can jump in there and we'll pull you individually down. You can say your piece, we'll respond to it, and then we'll take you out of the room and put you back in the waiting room, okay? Yeah, go ahead.
One request, please make sure your mic is working. Test your microphone.
Yeah,
make sure
test
it's working.
your mic.
Otherwise, we're going to have to kick Art in there to check all your microphones.
Yes.
And he's not going to be happy.
Yes.
Yeah, make sure you've got to, maybe you can talk to each other while you're in the waiting room and make sure your mics are working properly.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
It.
Now, one other thing, I did want to, wouldn't be a Shipyard episode without some sort of giveaway, and tonight we are doing a giveaway. It's not a big ship or anything, unfortunately. Sorry, we did give our Perseus away. Big shout out to Sir Barbetta for winning that. Really cool. Before I talk about tonight's giveaway, let me speak on the Perseus giveaway real quick. He won it. He's down in Argentina. He wrote to me and said that, to be able to get a big ship like that where he lives and with things the way they are is extremely difficult. And what was cool was I went to his Twitter or his X thing, and the previous week he had been posting and responding to people posting Perseus pictures, saying how cool the ship looked, how much he wish he had it, and then boom, he won the giveaway, and that kind of warmed my heart. He posted some pictures checking it out, and he was happy. So
yeah, I can relate to that because there was a guy that wanted to get I can't remember what the ship was. It was just like a starter package or something like that.
Yeah.
And for him to pay the fees and taxes, it was going to work out to be equivalent. I just remember it was like 2 or 3 times what he was going to pay. And in the end, I just brought it for him and gave it to him because it was going to cost him so much more because of the way things work down there. So for him to get a ship like that, astronomical.
There was part of me that was like, man, I hope someone doesn't win it that already has a Perseus or something like that, although they would have been well within their rights to claim it, obviously, if they'd won. But it was just cool that someone won it that really wanted that ship but had no means to get
the extra mile.
Yeah.
It means so much more.
It means so much more
when they can't get it themselves, and they value it so much more because for them to get it would have cost so much more.
Yeah, so it felt really good and made me feel good about next year's giveaway. Again, we're going to be doing an Ironclad giveaway at Invictus and a Galaxy giveaway at IAE. So
I feel good about it, and I didn't do anything.
I know. Real quick, everyone, is we are going to I'm going to, if I can talk here. Okay, here we go. Okay. Tonight's giveaway is going to be for the Elysium download or Elysium patch bundle. This is the one with the black and gold, or it's kind of a bluish black and gold Cutlass skin. I think it works on all the Cutlasses, maybe? Oh, we just got a
How many more patch bundles did you buy to give away?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Subliminal just raided with a party of 41. Subliminal, it's nice to see you. I was actually lurking in your stream the other day, and by the way, let me just say, Subliminal, I hope you're doing well, buddy. You posted the funniest short the other day. That was, I think you hit like an asteroid or something happened to you in your ship, and your ship went into a critical state. You got out of the seat. You're running back there. You're trying to get the repair tool. You run into a room. It's full of fire. It was the perfect like engineering nightmare scenario. You ran up to it. And of course, the timer just ticked down. You couldn't get it repaired quick enough, and the ship blew up. But it was pretty like panic-inducing, and it was the first time I'd actually seen the engineering gameplay loop work in that way, where like it felt like that Sea of Thieves moment where you had to quickly get down and bail water out, or you were going to sink. So Subliminal, that was a really cool short. You may have just threw that up for just to be fun, but I actually thought it was one of the best examples of engineering that I've seen so far. But thank you for that raid, man. I appreciate it. Real quick, how you get into giveaway? If you're on YouTube, real easy. There's a link pinned to the top of chat. All you got to do is go to that part 3 of my new player guide, leave a comment, Okay, leave a comment there, and we'll pull a random comment from there. And if you're over on Twitch, all you got to do is exclamation ticket. That is currently running. Again, that is for the Elysium download patch bundle. So get in on that. If you don't get a confirmation, oh nope, confirmations are working. Okay, cool. So we'll give that giveaway here at the end of the show. But this is actually one of the cooler patch bundles in my opinion. The armor, the gun, and the paint for the ship are pretty nice. And I'm not sure, Execute, you might know. Does this paint apply to all Cutlass variants? Does anyone know?
As far as I'm aware, it does. I haven't tested it, but I remember when they were on the Leaks channel, there were 3 variants of them. So I'd say from memory.
The nice thing about that for some of these bundles where the paint applies to a ship that's got several variants is it's just more opportunity for people to get use out of it, which is kind of nice. So, okay, we talked about that. Next thing I wanted to talk about real quick, everybody. I got to drop a few links. Sorry, it's got to happen here.
Did you pick up any best in show skins to give away too? You should have done that too.
I didn't. Damn it, I didn't. I should have did that. See, I was slacking.
Someone else did.
I did. See, that's a good reason to turn into the Info Runners show. Okay.
I brought so many in to buy back. It was not funny. Like I was like 5 of this, 5 of this, 5 of this.
The problem was I gave away a lot of ships. I gave away a crew, a L-22 Wolf, Clipper, which was from CIG, Perseus. It just at the end I had to tap out. But real quick, everyone, if you enjoy StarJump Fleet Viewer and are excited about those new ships dropping into Fleet Viewer any day now, please go give VMXEO a little support over his coffee link. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. All right. Now we're going to get into it. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about engineering. As many of you know, engineering has made several appearances on the Tech Preview channel. And I think the Arena Commander at one point over the last 12 to 14 months or so, we've seen various iterations of them. And it's now coming in 4.5, which is now, someone just posted in chat, sorry I missed your name. It's now open to Wave 3 testers as of just a few minutes ago, which means its release is imminent. Okay, we're going to be getting 4.5 very soon.
That's like next week type of thing. If it's a wave, how many Wave 3s do you see?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Not many.
Not many. So, and I think that we're seeing it with this is because it is such a complicated system, and they just made a change to wear and tear earlier today. I think that was already like super controversial. This is going to be, in my opinion, the most controversial topic that we'll be talking about for the next 6 months, next to master modes. Okay, so
well, the first thing I said to Grim was like basically you thought people complaining about master modes was going to be a problem. It's got nothing on this.
I know.
So there's a guy in the waiting room who's a friend of mine, but he said to me earlier today, that's what actually spurred this idea to get people to come on and talk, was he actually wants to talk about engineering quite a bit, and he's an org leader.
Okay.
So he have some great insights. Cool. But again, if you want to talk about engineering at all, jump onto the StarJump Discord and jump in the stream chat waiting room.
Yeah.
I really want to hear what some other people think.
Yeah.
Obviously me and Grim talk to each other a lot, so I'm sick of his voice and he's sick of mine. So we want to hear what you guys think. So
and again, we'll start picking up questions a little bit later in the show. We know we got a lot of questions to catch up on. I guess the last thing I would say is there's a couple of things with engineering that you can watch if you haven't been caught yourself up fully yet, and that is something you want to do. There is the engineering talk with Torsten that is on YouTube now. I'll post that link in chat. Obviously, most of you have probably seen this or at least know about it. And then there is a very long engineering design doc that's been posted on the Spectrum on our size website. Just got that link in there as well. Okay, it is a lot to go over. If you see here, it's a lot. Okay, so this is a big topic with a lot of facets. Before we bring
this is the first,
go ahead.
I was going to say this is the first time they've updated this in a really long time. And there's a couple of things I want to say for those that are worried about it. Right, it was always coming. Right, they've talked about this since the very beginning. They've done updates all the way along. And I think the other part you need to know, like you said in the video, they were scared to release it all in one hit because they're worried too much for people. So there are more to come. This is effectively tier 0, but it is a massive change. As I said, I think now people are starting to see it. Like I think I basically said it's the whole other side of the coin. Type of thing. So yeah, I am interested to see what people think. I think we need it. I think you can start to see now. I'd love to talk to some PvPers if there's any PvPers in chat, because especially some that was really against the changes with master modes and all that type of stuff that came in. Now they've seen the other side of it. Now do they now understand why the flight mode had to change as much as it has? It's really evident once you factor this stuff in. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic point, and that's sort of what I wanted to preface before we have people come on and voice your opinions, either pro, con, or concerns, or however you want to say it. It's important to know that it's just about to land in our laps, and I can promise you this is a feature that's going to be monkeyed with for, in my opinion, years until 1.0 comes out. This is going to be like the flight model and like other major systems,
and beyond.
I think they know they're nowhere near right currently with this. So yeah. So I guess where I want to preface by saying
look how much they changed it in the last 12 months. They knew there
were and they've even changed it,
tweaking it,
and they've even changed it in the last 36 hours. I mean, here's the interesting thing, is that I had someone in our Discord today. Kind of come in, and a couple of us were talking to him, and he, you could just tell, was very, very displeased with engineering, but really I didn't hear exactly what, I couldn't really tell what the specific issue with engineering was, but it was just sort of like, I'm sick of this, or I don't like the design. I think his concern was, well, they're trying to make time to kill longer on ships, but yet they're lowering shields and armor and all this stuff. And my thinking was, oh my gosh, these numbers are going to go up and down and left and right 1,000 times, probably in the next 2 months. So if you come in to voice your opinion, just remember that. Keep that in mind, that you're definitely, you're good with your opinion, and we respect your opinion, obviously, no matter which way it goes. Just remember that one of the things that may come up on repeat is, this is just the beginning of an ongoing system that's going to be adjusted a lot. Okay.
Yeah. And one of the things that we've learned in front is if you think we're wrong, tell us we're wrong. If we think you're wrong, we're going to tell you we think you're wrong, and that it's challenging each other that allows you to get closer to the truth. So don't take an offense by it. It's just all learning together to try and figure out what's going on. That's the key element. And remain civil and friendly with each other. I think that's the other thing. Because you guys see me in our grid, woohoo! But the next day we're fine. So we get really heated.
But we are going to walk through. I was originally planning, when I thought I was going to be on, I forgot Execute was going to come on today, and I was originally going to be solo. So I was like, oh, I'll watch the video. But I was like, oh, wait, Execute's coming on. So we'll make this more of a proper discussion. Obviously, there is that engineering document that we'll kind of go through during this stream. I don't know if we'll dissect every little part of it, but we'll use it as our cross-reference. We'll bring you on to talk. So we'll start doing that here in just a second. But I guess just from myself, Execute, and Art, I wanted to get just some very top-line opinions on engineering. Not the specifics with the build we're getting right now, but just our top-level opinions on it. And I'll start us off, which is, engineering is, first off, something, like Execute said, I always knew was coming, but even more than that, I always wanted it to come, because it was one of the things that attracted me to Star Citizen. The multi-crew gameplay, the working as an engineer on a ship, is a role I want to play. I consider myself semi-passive, and I don't really care about being the pilot or being up front gunning and being in the combat and action and stuff. I like to be back in engineering. I think it's also a reason why the Nautilus appeals to me so much as a ship, because it's got this sort of passive gameplay side to it that I really enjoy. And so engineering really calls to me. It's one of the reasons I'm excited about this game. I also think that engineering is the key to making multi-crew, large, and capital ships what I want them to be in the future, meaning that sort of raid-level experience in an MMO where you have a bunch of people together working in concert on one goal, right?
Hello? Hello, it's engineering. Grim, will you take the charges?
I will.
No.
So on a very surface level, and that's not to say I'm going to agree with every decision CIG makes in regards to engineering. Matter of fact, there's going to be probably a lot that I don't like. On a very high level, I want there to be engineering. I want multi-crew, and especially capital ships, to be a multi-crew endeavor, and I'm excited for it. Okay, so that's my top opinion. Execute, where do you sit with engineering? Again, just very top level.
It's kind of the basic strokes of what I thought it was going to be. You know, like there's nothing really that's revolutionary, nothing that really crept up on me, but like you know, like me, you and I kind of live, even eat and breathe this game. So for me, it's just a shock for a lot of people that haven't gone as deep down, and there's a lot of documents and texts, like it's almost 13-14 years worth of shit to go through.
Yeah.
So I don't blame people for being out of the loop, so to speak, but to someone that's in the loop, it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. I like what I've seen. It looks pretty, and it works pretty well.
I mean, this is an interesting question I wanted to ask you before I get Art's opinion, but as someone who does, you know, and has for a long time now done content centered around ships and other topics, but definitely a big presence in the ship discussion kind of forum, this is bringing on a whole other discussion point now when talking ships. You know what I mean? That we've got to consider. Yep. Like when a new ship comes out, before where we're looking at the interior and the exterior and where does the cargo go, now I'm going to start looking at its engineering stuff. You know, is it good? Is it bad? Is the fire extinguishers placed in the wrong place of the ship? All that kind of stuff. And I imagine for you that's got to be somewhat interesting and exciting, because it's now a new discussion point that you can explore in content moving forward. So
well, we kind of knew about it in the background for years, but now we're actually seeing it become, I know it's not real, but like more of a reality, so to speak. So, you know, what is now the fundamental differences between Drake and Origin as an example, you know?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Everything we've ever talked about, like, oh, Drake is duct tape, but it's going to break a lot, but it's cheap to fix. Origin hardly ever breaks, but when it does, it's going to cost a fortune.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So we knew about them, but then, you know, talking about it and then it becoming reality, right, is two very separate things. Again, we've seen ships on paper, they look identical, but one had armor.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You know, and so you're going to start to see this diversification, just like completely out in every single, filling out that grid, literally. So right now we have a lot of fighters, and they all kind of seem very samey. But 12 months from now, all of them are going to feel individual again.
Yeah, it's a whole other metric now to judge ships against when comparing two different options that you may want to purchase. That's one criticism I had today. You talking about the manufacturer differences, for example. Again, glad that Jared did the talk with Thorsten. I'll be honest with you, this talk could have been 45 minutes to an hour long, not 15 minutes. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't talked about. I have a feeling it wasn't talked about because it's not in this build. For example, things like, are there manufacturer differences in some of this stuff with ships yet?
Agreed.
I have a feeling that it's not, and I think the reason they didn't talk about the futures because they wanted to focus purely on what we're getting right now. But this could have been a much longer discussion.
It's already a lot for people to absorb. If
it
you
is,
bring it
to be
in
fair.
One big smack, it would just overwhelm.
It is, that's to be fair.
It is a complicated system. It's not, no, gosh, complicated is not the wrong word. It's a deep system, right? But if you bring it in stages, people can learn it. Like,
it's a disruptor.
Think about all that you. Yeah, well, like imagine the tutorial that would be required for it.
Oh,
right?
I know. Yeah.
And how, like, it also brings up other questions, like how are they going to teach people how to use this when the full thing is in, right?
Yeah.
So again, you can see the progression. Start in a starter ship, a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Work your way up, and that's across the board. You can see where the intent is, though, right? It's always been a multi-crew game, and so for this flight model that we had for almost a decade, that was all single-seat fighter, to not change it to this, it just, you know. And even then, look at the changes that are coming to fighters: the ability to self-repair, so you can at least get yourself home. I always thought fighters were going to be death traps. At least they're not death traps anymore. At least you can kind of get yourself home now. So
Art. Obviously, as show producer and someone who's in voice chat, I always like to ask your opinion on some of this stuff. Do you have any opinions on engineering? Is it something you're excited for, not excited for?
I'm very excited for it, actually. So after this last year, we finally just started to get the baby steps into capital ship combat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with Polaris last year, and then the Idris this year. Um, Min-maxing crews has been a big thing. How many? What is the exact minimum I need to put in my ship to make it effective? Um, and unfortunately, a lot of other people's gameplay may or may not have been ruined by that, by somebody showing up in an Idris or a Polaris, you know, either by themselves or, you know, very sparsely crewed, causing a lot of chaos,
Yeah.
and then kind of, you know, not
Well,
really having a whole lot of repercussions for that.
you bring up an interesting point, actually, something I hadn't thought about. In an org like yours, where you consistently go out and do big fleet operations, now you're going to have to factor in people to be on board for engineering. And
Yeah.
if you have a pool, let's say you have 30 people that show up that night in the org to do those org operations, well, and where before you may have been able to man 10 ships with those 30 people, now maybe you're manning 7 because you needed some of those people to filter into those ships and engineering roles. So it's kind of interesting, just some of the run-on effects on like even just gameplay. You know what I mean?
And we're excited about that.
Yeah.
We like the thought of putting somebody on our ship to do engineering. I mean, earlier, before engineering really became a thing, we had a couple guys that would run around the ships to repair things. If your turret went down, you pulled out a multi-tool, you repaired your turret, and you got back in the fight. Now, the fact of power management, I mean, everybody was always, you know, turning off our coolers. That was the first thing we did. Let's turn off the coolers. We don't need them. They're worthless. Let's turn off life support. We don't need that either. And let's throw everything into shields and everything into weapons. Well, now you have to plan. There's more planning that needs to be, and engagements are more ideal. But also with the addition of the damage when it comes to, you know, fighter craft, you know, the age of the light fighter being the menace of everything is over.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when I was got the very first time I got into Evocati, and I literally, you know how you kind of like just open your hangar, say you're at Lawville, and you just like turn and burn and boost all the as fast as you can the atmosphere. Corsair and Spirit both just
Right. I know. The Corsair especially.
Yeah. So they had it turned up a lot higher in Evocati because they wanted things to go wrong, and they've definitely dialed it back a lot, so it's a lot more realistic. But as you said, it's a lot more flatter at the moment. They just want to get that foot in the door so people can kind of taste the other side of it. And then I think just like what they're doing with armor and splitting out the diversification, I think we will see manufacturer things come in. So, you know, you have the ship that kind of has all these modifiers on it. Depending on the components you put in it, it's going to depend how much it breaks down, how efficient it is, stuff like that. And so, you know, the same component in an Origin ship as to a Drake ship will have very drastic different effects on how they work. And we haven't even got into subcomponents yet.
I know.
Right? That's another part that's coming too. So
we're just having the tuning components of things, right now.
Yep. So it's about to go to another level again. I'm a bit worried about this Arturus guy, man. I think he might be AI. Like he's standing really still, and his mouth's not moving when he talks.
He's unfortunately too attractive to show a live video feed of him.
It's
been a problem.
I always thought he'd look more like a Bob Ross than
I mean. I feel like certain people would, you know, in my profession, outside of here, if I were to do my job, I think a Bob Ross haircut would probably not fly.
Yeah. Real quick, everyone.
No, it's too round. Need more wings.
We're close to bringing in our first live question here. But before we do that, I want to just sort of not go through this design doc, but just call out a few things so we can kind of give some structure to our discussion tonight. Obviously, engineering coming in 4.5 is going to sort of bring online a lot of different systems, okay? The overall thing that is sort of turning on is what's known as the resource network, okay, which is sort of the underlying fiber that connects all this stuff that is part of engineering, okay? It includes things like the engineering roles, so the ability to go up to the engineering kiosk on a ship, which those are now active now. Before you would have seen it said coming soon. You can now go up to those engineering consoles, interact with engineering and the ship through the schematic view. You're going to have control over everything from components to weapons to doors to all that kind of stuff, okay? In addition, ship components now have actual behaviors, failure effects, and all that kind of stuff, right? So when a power plant, for example, goes down, there's now roll-on effects that happen because of that, and all that good stuff. Okay, and some of those are going to be built out even further as we get more and more things added to the game in the future, such as batteries and stuff like that. In addition, we now have power distribution and management, fuses in the relay system. So again, that goes into how power is stored and distributed on the ship. They did make some changes to the relay system. For example, if your relay goes out now, it's not like your entire ship goes out. Now it's more just, power's not distributed properly. Big one that a lot of people weren't expecting. We got armor in with this. That was again something that was not at the top of my bingo card for 2025, but armor has come in now. If you go to the engineering terminal at the top left, you'll see an armor bar now. I'm not 100% sure how real that armor is yet. Maybe that is the armor system. I'm not sure if there's a bigger component of that coming online with Maelstrom that will have additional effects. I don't know, but we do have armor. It will.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it will. I think one of the things I hear from people at CIG a lot is Chris wants everything physicalized.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much more visceral, and I think to a certain point it does. I think the craziest one I've heard so far was as how he wanted all the interiors of the elevators modeled out. I think that's a bit crazy because you're never going to see them.
Yeah.
But again, yes, you could model out some elevators, but not all of them. So he's obviously thinking of some mission they could make. Right, so they could go into it. But again, just make that more mission specific or add it in after the fact. You don't need to be traveling inside elevators like that. It's a bit crazy. But I can see why he wants everything kind of physicalized, but it's just a little bit crazy town to go that deep.
I agree.
But you'd agree with what we've had so far, like visualizing the ships and being able to walk around in them and stuff like that. They're the benefits that you want to go into. So now really hone in on the areas that you've already made and use that physicality to its advantage.
Absolutely. Additional things like damage states, component health, all that stuff coming online. Again, you can go into detail here when you read this. The wear system, damage versus wear. So, for example, one of the controversial things they talked about was that all components and stuff will suffer wear now just from usage, and that is not something you can repair on site. You have to take it into like a landing zone, landing zone or whatever to actually get full repaired on your wear, which is a controversial one. I've already seen a lot of people talking about that. The repair system, obviously, with the Multi-2 and the SRT, component replacement they talk about here, and of course, the fire system, fire behavior, fire suppression, all that kind of good stuff, which we have seen in previous ISCs and all that stuff. So we will probably be circling back to this document throughout tonight. But with that being said, do we have anybody we want to bring in to voice an opinion?
I feel like no one else has turned up except Fish, my friend.
Let's bring
Fish in. I feel like
in.
now this is bring Execute's friend on.
Well, here's the thing. We got a lot of questions to get through too, so don't worry. We'll bring Fish on, hear what he has to say. We got a lot of questions we can catch up on, not only on engineering, but from the past stream as well. So I'm going to go ahead and
restricted my powers. I can't pull. I don't know what I did wrong.
Stand by.
I'm sorry.
Stand by. We're going to fix that. Stand by.
Doing it live.
Doing it live, people. We are doing it live.
Ever since I coined that term, people keep using it.
You have moderator role. You can't bring people down?
Nope. It might be the channel though, because it's a locked channel. It was a locked channel for me.
Oh, okay. One second. Let me just make one change to this channel. We're doing it live, people. We're doing it live. Okay, I'm adding moderators to this. There we go. Sorry, Discord is putting something up on my screen that is blocking things. Okay, you should be good now. Try it now, Art. I want to test, see if it works.
Nope.
Okay, and I'll bring him Fish down. All right. Fishbowl Fishbowl. Hello, how are you?
Hello there.
I'm going to talk for me a second. I'm going to turn you up just a bit.
Yeah, just making a whole bunch of useless noise.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thanks. All right. So what's your opinion on engineering? We heard you have a lot to say.
First off, I want to preface with execute. You can tell me to get out whenever you want. Number 2, I love Star Citizen. I love the game. I love everything about this place. It's the only game I play. I am normally a white knight that defends the future of this game tooth and nail. I have been elbows deep in as many opportunities as they would give us to test engineering from however many months ago when it was in Arena Commander all the way to today. And I want to make a comment based on something that Art said a few minutes ago. I was chomping at the bit. Right now, as it sits, so, one more thing. I view engineering from 2 perspectives. One of those perspectives is what it will be in the future, which everything you guys have said has been spot on. This is going to be a system that CIG doesn't stop tinkering with for years. This is going to be constantly in flux.
Yeah.
So that is the first perspective that I look at everything from, that guides me on what opinions I have now. And then I look at it as, what kind of game is CIG about to hand me to play with my group and my friends in the org that I'm a part of? And unfortunately, it's not a good, fun experience at all. If 4.5 goes live today, you might as well take every single person out of a big ship and put them all in fighters. Every single one of them. Capital ships are dead on arrival. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
That is all the testing. The reason that is true from my perspective is the patch before this one, this is when they took away when they killed all the shields, put the armor in, everything else. They tuned down all of the weapons to kind of compensate for that, except for a few. Those were outliers. I feel like they just got lost. Now they have reduced us even farther, kept the shield nerfs in, and they've reamped our weapons. From our testing at our group and testing that I've been a part of and other groups that have shown me, the only ship of large size, or extra large, I guess, in normal terms, that is safe from 1 or 2 fighters is the Idris. You can take a Perseus to critical with 1 Hornet in less than 15 seconds, not even aiming for components. And that is true across every single giant ship. All of them. Because the fighter damage is so high in comparison to what it was on the first 4.5 PTU patch. I'm seeing somebody in chat say that shields are up again. I'm glad to hear that. I haven't been on in the last little bit.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Everything is changing so fast. It's hard
changing
to keep up.
so fast. Yeah. It's so quick. And so that's why I'm not trying to be so negative, but I do want to put it out there that the testing is rough.
So clearly so clearly when they want something tested, they turn it up too. So they would have literally made it so it broke a lot more. But again, this is what we've always been saying. They are just numbers, a lot of this stuff. So you can see things change on an absolute dime because they can change things whenever they want. And all these people were panicking about how things are going to be. Well, there's no need to panic because it's just a bunch of numbers that can be changed. So
no, I agree.
I thought we were I thought we were supposed to be heading towards this future, though, and unless I just read it wrong in the past, where certain size guns literally had no effect on certain size ships. You know what I mean? Like a size 2 gun would literally do nothing to a capital ship.
Yep. What I believe that'll eventually be is that you can strip armor off. And I think that'll be a part of the Maelstrom system. Like once it's physicalized, you'll be able to make it come off. And therefore, like if you think about the Ares, the way the Ares Inferno is sold, it literally is. They said it's a close range aircraft. Well, and it's covered in armor where the iron is not. Well, that clearly means it's got to get up really close to shoot the capital ship. So it's designed to strip the armor off with that massive ballistic gun. So it will go in, strip the armor off, and then something like just an Aurora can come along and shoot at it. That's remember how they talked about peeling the onion? That it had multiple layers and stuff. So armor is just another layer, like shields. Yeah.
Fishbowl, continue on.
That's what I've gathered too, X. The way that they've coded or whatever this system, it seems like armor at this point is nothing but what shields used to be, except you have different resistances for armor than you do for shields. So shields protect you from energy weapons, armor protects you from ballistic weapons. You have a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. You tear it all out. As far as the overall systems of engineering go, because I don't want to sound like I just hate this, because I don't. I love this. Big ships are my life. I never want to be in a fighter ever again. I'd rather much stand on the bridge of a big ship. Mechanics, fire, repair, that dynamic is really, really cool. And I love it, and it's great, and I'm having a great time when I get to do it. The only issue that I've had the entire time is that the work that we're doing as engineers doesn't matter, because we are dying so fast that we can't do anything. It is so quick.
Yeah.
Again, you think about how much it's been tested in the last month as opposed to how it was tested in all the years beforehand. Once you put this out to the masses, it is tested at scale. They will get those numbers right sooner rather than later. It's about going backwards and forward. And that's probably why they've kept it fairly flat. So they can expand it out and then tweak little things to go up for Drake or down for Drake or whatever, and different ship sizes and stuff like that. It's all about trying to get that baseline. The other thing I would add to what you were saying too, you were talking about shields and armor. Ballistic is to armor what shields are to energy weapons. That is always been the case, and it was always meant to be, and that's why ballistics always felt weird, because they were at this massive disadvantage, but really their advantage is they were limited but way stronger. That's essentially the way it goes. But anyway,
yeah, for sure. I'm not going to sit on here.
Armor should be the same, by the way. Armor should be limited, because once you crack it off, where shields come back. Yeah.
I'm not going to stay on here and blabber you guys' heads off. I told X before. Earlier today that I could talk for hours.
Yeah, we want. Let me ask you this, Fishbowl. I mean, you can if you have other points, definitely still make them. I mean, we're not in a rush. But let me ask you this: as someone who has been testing this, what is like the top 3 things that need to change to make this the system you want it to be? And I know there's probably more than 3, but what are the top 3 you can think of?
There's multiple ways to fix the problems that I'm seeing. So item number 1, big ships are taking a lot of damage all of the time in live now and in PTU with engineering.
Can I rephrase the question ever so slightly? Any problems that are not numbers based? Because if it's just a number, think about it, it's easily fixed. It just takes a little bit of time. So I'm talking about more things that are fundamental.
I see what you're trying to say, X. But if there's anybody listening to this that's CIG, I don't know. It's like, oh man. Okay. Something that is not a numbers-based system.
Well, it sounds like what you're saying, Fishbowl, is like, and this is probably a lot of number things, but overall, what it sounds like you're saying is time to kill is a problem that needs to be solved.
TTK is, but here's the thing: what has happened to large ships with TTK is not unique to them. So another aspect of engineering, everybody's talking about big ships, but how does this affect the little guys?
Yeah,
it's even worse for them. I was me personally, as in an L-21 Wolf with the ballistic one, not the lasers, fighting against a 2-man team that are deep into the PvP scene. They are very good pilots. It took my Wolf less than 2 seconds, and that fight is over. Same thing for them. I've seen 10-on-10 fighter engagements that are ending in 30 seconds because ships just fly apart. There's no rhyme or reason. It's a little bit better now than it was in the patch before today, though.
Yeah, I guarantee you they're working out those baselines, and they're definitely playing with the numbers, and that's probably the last kind of thing we're going to see before it goes live. But you've got to remember, everything's turned up to be worse because they already probably have the numbers from inline tests, but they want to see things break so they can get the break data. They need the breaking data. So that's why everything's turned up and made worse.
I don't have any issues with what CIG is doing. at all. I want them to limit test the engine, the game, the systems, and break stuff. That's fine. But CIG has a track record, especially in December, of putting changes in. We have to ship it. They put it out, and then they leave us until February, and we have a game that is very hard to play. So I'm concerned that that's going to happen because they do it all the time.
Well, that's a great point about January. January, for a lot of people in chat maybe who are new to Star Citizen, what Fishbowl's alluding to there is January is kind of like an off month. CIG is not in the offices, or it's working on like a skeleton crew, so you really don't hear anything, and you don't get much CIG support during the month of January.
It's their it's the month where they do all the planning for the year, and so then you go into February and they start working again, so you don't actually see anything materialize until February to March. So now we've moved to that 10-month credence of like there was a patch every month last year, and they're probably every second going into next year. But that's why. So we used to have that biggest dead zone in July, August. Well, that dead zone that we always had in January, February will now be the biggest thing going forward.
Yeah.
So Pickles brought up a point. He says that the Wolf and the Alpha Wolf weapons haven't had their stats adjusted along with the rest of the weapons yet. That's why they're overperforming.
Yeah, it's for sure. That is correct, and that was correct going in the very first 4.5 build, but in the build today where they reversed all the weapons back to 4.4 data, it was basically all the same. So the point is that it was bad.
Right.
Once this thing hits the PU, I mean, the amount of data that they're going to get, and that's the thing with
massive.
You know, the PTU and the PU is always a great difference, because the PTU gets it and they get it in a somewhat stable state, and it gets to the PU and it gets wrecked. And it's just the amount of information that they have coming in.
But that brings but that brings up an interesting question. Should this be hitting the PU, or should this have stayed in the PTU?
You got to remember,
I don't think they're going to get enough data in the PTU.
Even in live, we're still in a testing environment. You got to remember that, guys. We're playing a game in flux. We are testers. We are literally trying to get the numbers working before it goes live. Yes, we're going to have teething issues, and it was always going to be the case with engineering.
With the one caveat to that, and I agree with you, Execute. I do think it should just come to the PU. Let's test it at scale. The only caveat I would say to that is that CIG has put a ton of effort this year into making the PU out to almost be like a live 1.0 game environment with their marketing.
But always going to happen with that build coming.
But it's still
no engine update since January, and now we're getting an engine update. It's going to come with so much shit. Like we got Vulcan in there, we got all this shit in there, a year's worth of updates, quality of life improvements. It was always going to be a shit show. I can hear Astropub in my ear every time there's a massive patch. It's like 3 steps backwards to get that 1 step forward, and then we spend the next 6 months coming back up to get it equal again, but then it goes forward again. So that is just the nature. Every time you take this giant puzzle piece and chuck it into the thing, it's got to all be rejigged. It's like, no offense to Fishbowl and no offense to the rest of you, but I'm hearing is all this shit I've heard before since like 2013. Like it is not new to me at all. This is like, I'm just sitting, I can hear Algrid here going, oh, these kids.
Well, here, let me bring up one thing about that, and this goes back to something that I think all of us, probably every Star Citizen player, has complained about at one point in their gameplay journey with Star Citizen, is that sometimes CIG's communication on something leaves a lot to be desired. So, for example, with this, especially with that Thorsten chat on Star Citizen Live or whatever it was today. It's sort of, I mean, they definitely said that, hey, this is just the start, there's going to be a lot of changes. Yeah. But you almost want them to go, look, you almost want them to be overly blunt about it and be like, look, this is going to be a mess for a while. We need you to come on this journey with us. This is going to be a big testing journey for 6 months. There's going to be a lot of knobs and switches being turned. Prepare for some pain. This may not be pleasant. We appreciate it. But instead, the communication's always like, it's a long time coming. We're real excited about releasing it.
I'm trying to think of an analogy for it, right? Like I'll say this: we're building a game, not playing a game. That's a big difference. And I think back to my dad, right? And this is gonna sound really weird. This is the only analogy I can think of, right? Is when you're building a house. Have you guys ever known some people that they live in a caravan while they build the house?
Mm-hmm.
And then they move into a part of the house, and then they build a bit more, and then they build a bit more, and then they build a bit more. It's a bit like that. We are literally playing something as it's flying along, right? So there's just going to be teething issues. You're going to have to make consolidations to get it there. There's just no other way to pull this off. And if you want it to stay where it is and have that separate environment, that's mainly what live is meant to be. Like, you're only getting the most stable shit, right? If you were to go into Evocati, and I think now you're in Evocati, Grim. You've probably, I'm going to be honest, you haven't seen a buggy one yet, mate, by the way.
Yeah.
Some of them are so buggy, you turn them on and they just crash.
Like, all the ones I've been in so far have been pretty smooth, actually.
Yeah. But from back in the day and some of the ones that I've seen, they're horrific.
Mm-hmm.
And be honest, Evocati take the brunt of the attack for most people. And I would say some PTU ones, people take the attack as well, but every step it goes up, it gets less. Yeah. Just remember, even though it's a live environment, it is still a game in progress. Please, Fish.
Can I answer X's question that he modified?
Sure.
Because there really is only one non-numbers based critique that I have noticed. And this is the critique that CIG gets probably with every single feature in every single like everything that they make, they probably get this same critique, but I'm going to make it here.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough UI information about what is going on in various places on the ship. Now, I know the engineering console has a ton.
That's gameplay. That's gameplay reasons. It took me a while to figure that one out, because when I was doing it on my own, it was really annoying. I had to keep getting out of the chair to get to the engineering console. But if it's not all on one console, then you're never going to use the bloody console, are you?
No. Well, the one console is fine, X. I don't have any issues with there being a bottleneck of information, because you want someone on the engineering console, and that's the point of multi-crew, and you have the chief engineer.
Yep.
That's fine. But I don't have, like, I have played and tested as both the person standing at the console and giving information, and I have played as the person running around trying to do the thing. And the running around and trying to do the thing is not pleasant, only because it's not a me issue. I know where every nook and cranny on almost every ship is. I don't know exactly which area, where do I go, where the problem is. There's not enough information. I hold my tractor.
You'll learn that. Again, that's another thing where
it's not helping me learn it. That's the problem.
Well, you will though. Like, it's like, think about all the ships you've got in, and you've had to learn the layout of the ship. It's the same thing. You've got to know your ship. It's a skill value thing, right? Because if they just hand it to you and it's
I don't want to hand it to me. You're missing my point. I think you're missing my point.
No, you're missing my point. Right, is you need to learn the layouts of this ship, and you may become an expert, but you're not going to be an expert in every single ship. That's my point.
Speaking of which,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Speaking of which, if you see on my screen right now, this amazing tool. I'm going to use it as a segue. I'm going to use this as a segue.
Sure.
This tool was just released. It was on the Community Hub. Make sure you go give it an upvote. It was created by Duma of Atlas Defense Industries. Really, really cool. It's got a number of ships on there, big ships, mostly capitals and stuff. Go check it out. I got the link down in chat. It allows you to navigate the ships in actually a view that is much more clear and easy to read than CIG's internal view. They should hire him and get his or jank his visual style here. But yeah, go check it out. Really cool website. If you are trying to learn some of the layouts of some of these monster ships, it's actually really handy. Again, it was just released. I reached out to him and told him that I really loved the tool and they did a great job, and he's a fan of Fleet Viewer, and we had a great conversation. So make sure you go give that some support on the Community Hub. Continue on those.
I want to get to the end of my point.
Sure.
And I was getting to the end of my point was specifically around the UI that you have when you are using a repair tool. That is where my critique comes. Engineering UI, fantastic. The information you get on the engineering UI, amazing. I don't want to look around the entire ship with my repair tool and see the status of every component like the engineering panel, because then I won't use the engineering panel. But there's some sort of mental disconnect for me on knowing, like, it would help if on my repair tool, in the design document, they talked about how there were different percentages and thresholds where certain bits of performance would degrade or be restored if you got back up to that. That would be a very nice thing to know when you're looking at the thing with a repair tool where you need to get it from, or something that happened with a testing video from another YouTuber that I watched. The UI of repairing a thing with the tool didn't tell him what the minimum percentage was that he needed to get the power plants to stop them from blowing up. That's not a skill thing. You don't need to have that memorized. The game should diegetically, which is CIG's favorite word, tell you at least that bare minimum of what you are supposed to do. And that is where I think that they fall short, is that bare minimum of what do I need to do to stop myself from going boom. And that's not very clear on the ground doing it.
Yeah.
What we may actually see, though, in the near future, hopefully, give you some hopium, is some possible like engineering style gear that will give us better information than the standard player.
Please
give
me
me
a special armor for that.
I'll just say one thing. The UI team is one of the smallest teams at CIG, and they are also the most in demand. So UI fixes will probably come a lot later than anything else. They want it to be kind of like finalized. I think the things that I have seen are heavily text-based at the moment.
I know there's been some discussion, I saw Art, you and someone talking about it, but like engineering gear that would have special helmets and visors that overlay engineering information in your first-person view. Another thing that would be really cool if they did, and this is sort of going back to your point, Fish, is if you're wearing an engineering helmet or if you're in an engineering console, what I would love is if there is a critical component failure, meaning a failure that would make you go boom, I want to be able to hit a button on that engineering terminal that literally sends that information to my visor and does the waypoint draw on the mini map to that component.
Oh, yes, please.
You know what I mean? Like instantly, so that I know exactly where I need to run. Again, if our TTK is going to be kind of low, having that sort of transfer of data from console to visor, and then you can act on that in the first person view would be pretty huge, in my opinion. And I think just additional things like that.
I just want to say that may be the case eventually, but also you've got to take gameplay design into account. So they may want you to. I'm playing devil's advocate here, right?
Sure.
I'm not telling you how it's going to be. I'm just saying they may want you to know what is broken. They may need you that as a skill level. So if it doesn't come, you need to understand why. And it may be that they want the engineer to have enough smarts and knowledge to know that. And again, I don't know, because again, this is tier 0 or tier 1.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a master engineer and a beginner engineer?
Yeah.
And you've got to differentiate that too.
No, that's a great point. And I'll tell you too, obviously with smaller ships, this is not too big of an issue. On the bigger ones, one of the great test beds for this, in my opinion, is going to be when CIG gets those tactical fleet ops into the game. What a great test case scenario for engineering in stressful situations.
Coincidence?
Yeah,
I think not.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Rocket Man in chat says we need escape pods now. Yes, I get the feeling there sooner rather than later.
You're right.
Makes you wonder.
Right.
Well, especially
the command module. Just saying.
Yes. Yeah.
Similar related tech there. So yeah.
Especially, and I've always wondered that too, because while escape pods don't have the ability to control and not control the ship that they're attached to, there is an edge case for that in the Talon. The Talon's entire cockpit becomes the escape module. So I've always wondered if actually the tech governing escape modules is this command module tech, just from that one edge case. So it's possible. It's very possible.
So the special part about that tech was having one ship being able to control another ship. That was the special part.
Right.
I do think just shooting out a pod is a lot low level. It's essentially disconnecting. It's the opposite. Right. So they would be bundled in together essentially.
Are escape pods supposed to have like a minimal amount of fuel to like fly them? They're not flyable, right? They're just
They've
I don't
never
know
really
much about
actually
them.
talked about it, but like again, wouldn't it be cool if they were different? You know,
Yeah.
an Origin one allows you to fly it a little bit like a snub for a little bit, but a Drake won't just shoot you out and
Just
like a
chucks
piece
you
of
out.
crap and leaves you there.
So-
Yeah, you know.
Drake's the best, brother.
You know, again, Drake also don't have escape pods. They don't. I think they said they talked about adding it to the Kraken, but
Yeah.
they don't have escape
in the
pods.
Kraken's original design write-up in the Jump Point magazine, Paul Jones, who's no longer at CIG to be fair, does say that changes were made to the bridge area of the Kraken to allow for escape pods. Now, whether it'll get them, I don't know, but they did say that. So
it's really just a you know what they need to make Drake escape pods? Have you heard about how they're making those inflatable modules for space stations? It's just like a rubber dinghy. You know that you deploy and then it pumps itself up. It just should be a thing that like encloses the guy and you just float in space and it's like a plastic window.
it should just
Like
put
that. That'd be great.
It should just put you in a torpedo and shoot you out the
Yeah,
torpedo.
it's just a giant rubber band that flings you out, and then you just like put this plastic bubble over yourself, and you just float in this plane. That'd be so good.
Fishbowl, any other thoughts on engineering before we get to general questions? You've brought up some great points, and here's the thing. I know we've debated a little bit back and forth and stuff, but one reason that I think some of your points are very valid, Fishbowl, is that there are people like Execute, myself, and others that are going to, they know the backstory of CIG and engineering, and they're like, okay, it's got to be patient, it's going to come. But there are a lot of new players that when something drops into the PU, they're still under the impression that it's a final, like it's good to go, you know?
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a reaction.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it gives him he gives the impression that like what most normal people are going to
Yes,
and I agree. It is
and
important
so-
to see that side of it.
Yeah. So any other remaining thoughts you have, Fishbowl, before we move on to general questions?
I had one, and then Execute talked, and my mind went to a void.
Thanks. I'm glad I can erase your mind with mere words.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one with that. So
I spend a lot of time with X, so I have to build up a tolerance.
Yeah.
So the only last point that I have for engineering is, I just had it and it went away again. It's fine. I'll get out of y'all's hair. Let you guys get to general questions. Thanks for having me here.
Fishbowl, no problem, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. I will say that being a longtime friend of X, there should be a Spectrum badge for that. That's all I'm saying. There needs to be an Execute Spectrum badge.
No,
we all
on the spectrum. Because you're all on the spectrum. Yeah, I get it.
My last hurrah. I love engineering. I love everything that it's doing from a mechanics standpoint. I look forward to what they're going to do with the numbers part because that's the most important part. If they tweak the UI a little bit just to make it slightly more clear, it'd be great. Just for the FPS portion of it, the consoles are in a great shape. Especially in comparison to what they were a year ago. They're in great shape. Yeah. And I'm excited for it. And that's all I got. Cool. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Appreciate it, dude.
See you, buddy.
Real quick on the giveaway, I'm going to remind everybody of the giveaway, and then we're going to get to some general questions from last show and engineering here. If you want to get on the giveaway, it is for let me back out here. It is for an Elysium patch bundle. This comes with the really cool paint for the Cutlass, the cool concierge-like armor, and the, I think it's the Volt LMG, if I remember, the Fresnel maybe, I think. Either way, going to give one of these away today. So all you got to do to enter, if you're on YouTube, is just go to the top of chat. There's a link pinned to the top of chat that is part 3 of my new player guide, which has been pretty successful. I'm happy to see people are using it. Go to that link, leave a comment on that video. Hello, hi, goodbye, whatever. We'll pull a random winner from there. And then if you're over on Twitch, all you got to do is exclamation ticket. We'll pull a winner from there. Both of you will go into the big old random wheel of names, and someone will win. Okay. I did buy a lot of download patch bundles of varying types, so we'll be giving those away for a little while. So, and some more ship giveaways coming. If we get a new ship in December, which I assume we would, but we haven't heard anything about it. But if we do, I would imagine CIG would say.
We've heard about it. Come on, don't pull their leg. We've all heard about it. Come on.
I was gonna say we're gonna have an Execute talk for the next 10 minutes about the Hermes again.
No. I just don't like it when he deceives everyone. We all know. He's like, oh, no, we don't know. Playing dumb. Anyway.
So Art, what questions do we have? Are you able to read them off, or do you need me to?
I got you, brother.
Dude,
Okay, bud.
I just checked the funding goal real quick. We are definitely hitting 150 mil, by the way. We are 4 mil off 150.
Wow.
I thought when I said 150 and Paul started out, he thought he was saying, "Oh, you're crazy. We're never gonna hit 150 mil." Man, if we sell another ship, with 4.5, we are totally hitting another.
Especially a general purpose ship that a lot of people want.
Yeah.
What we got, Art?
Okay, Citizen Ninja. This is again from the last show we had on the 2nd. Does a CCU from a regular Dragonfly work on the Star Kitten Dragonfly? Is it an option when you click apply the CCU button?
I was told that it was turned off. Hang on, I'll open up my hanger and have a look for it.
Yeah.
We're doing it live.
Doing it live, people.
Oh wait, I'm not going to Hanger Link. I'm going to Robert Space Industries. What am I doing?
I did get the Dragonfly or the Star Kitten Dragonfly, by the way. I self-referraled myself. I will say, though, while you're looking at that execute, I got to say the new player guide has been very helpful with referrals. I think I'm up to like 9 now, which was very exciting. Very exciting.
My man, I have to do one.
You might. But you need
Citizen,
to... Yeah, go ahead, Art.
Citizen Ninja said that they checked it and it doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah, I was told by
upgradable.
Yeah, I was told by people that it was unupgradable and unmailable, but I haven't actually checked it myself, which is what I was going to do. All right, I just found it here. Yeah, you can't even exchange it. There's no exchange button. There's no gift button. There's no nothing. And that is a first for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've not seen something like that before. I've heard about them, like Paul Shelley's Redeemer, for example. That is literally named Paul Shelley's favorite ship.
That's amazing.
It's not called the Redeemer. It's called Paul Shelley's.
What else we got, Art?
Raptor Man Incorporated says, "Hey, execute. I just picked up the Hull B and the Ironclad this IAE. Did I win the game?"
Maybe when they go up in price, there can be some really good savings there. I picked up a bunch of Raelian, Hull B, and Ironclads ones myself, and I'm just sitting on them because they could really go up in value. And
I think they're both going to be popular ships too, really popular ships. Yeah.
Maybe not the Hull B as much, but the Raelian and the Ironclad 100% agree with that. Well, you're giving one away, aren't you?
The only reason I am. The only reason I think the Hull B is going to be pretty popular is that it's going to be one of those ships, kind of like the Hull A, where the cargo is easily accessible, but it also carries a shit ton of it. You know what I mean? So I think it'll be pretty popular. It might even be one of the more popular Hull series ships.
Well, with the original 5, I think it will be really popular at the start, but as the universe grows, it'll dwindle a little bit. All
right, what we got, Art?
Offset Studio says, would the Aurora series get a price jump with the rework?
No, because they're making a Mark II.
Right. Yep.
So it's essentially a gold pass bringing it up to par.
Follow-up question, though. Will they discontinue the Mark I when the Mark II comes out?
No, they didn't. They did
to the
Mark
Hornets.
Ones of the Hornets. Did they? Oh,
they took them off the store. Can't buy them anymore. They did one last big sale of them.
But why would they? But why would you do a rework of the Mark Ones and then also release a Mark II and then discontinue it straight after? That seems a bit.
Yeah, it is
silly.
strange. It is strange.
And I think the reason they did that was to motivate people to get the Mark IIs. I think eventually in game you'll be able to get Mark I's no problem. Yeah. They might have removed it from reality, and that's just to increase sales.
Yeah,
that's probably what that is. And again, I don't know. We talked about this a little bit, Grim, but I feel that they're making the Mark II the advanced Aurora, as in the advanced starter for RSI. So it's more in line with the Salvation.
I hope that's where they go with it. Personally, I hope it's something a little bit more,
and kind of based on how much the price increase was for the Mark I Hornets to the Mark IIs at $50, I'd assume it's about $25 that puts it bang on 70.
Yeah.
So,
What we got next, Art?
Shkamita. I'm not going to even try to tackle that second part. Do you guys think the Ironclad and the Ironclad Assault will be released together, and will we see will we see the assault delayed for IAE?
No, I don't think so. I think we're going to get them both on DefenseCom.
Same.
Yeah, because again, you can maximize sales at Invictus with the 2-pack where you get the Ironclad and the Ironclad Assault flight ready. That's going to be a big ticket item. And again, it gives them 2 big ships at both big events, and don't know where they're targeting the Raylan, but if the Raylan's coming at Alien Week, which I'm wildly speculating, by the way, then that would mean a pretty sizable ship coming on that off holiday or off sort of Broadway event. So you're starting to get some big ticket, ships that make people excited falling on all of your events, and that's a good thing for sales.
I think the only thing that would have blocked the assault would have been the Fabricator. Let's be honest, but they released I was about to say the Clipper. I keep calling it the Flipper. The Clipper because of I think that name's going to stick at some point. Anyway, the Clipper with the Fabricator. So and it doesn't work. So there's no reason they can't release the Ironclad Assault, and that also implies more than likely Fabrication.
Yeah,
he's going to be working sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'd agree. What's next, Art?
Comrader, hi. Do you think they will rework the Polaris?
Yeah, absolutely. They talked about that already.
For sure. Yeah, it's going to get a pass internally. The interesting thing there, though, that I will add is that I originally, and what I think would be enough, because I actually was just in the Polaris yesterday. I brought it up for the first time in a bit since all the Perseus glow has been going on. I brought up the Polaris, and I got to tell you, it's a nice ship, man. The exterior is still stunning, and a lot of areas of the interior are really great. I can even see a few little changes they switched in the newest 4.5 build, by the way. There are some lighting changes on the inside. There's some rooms now that have a little bit brighter appearance and stuff. But VMXEO brought up that may have something to do with some of the Vulcan rendering stuff, which is very true.
Yep.
What I will add, though, it was nice to hear Ben Curtis say that he didn't want to just do something really quick, that the Polaris did deserve better than that, and that they were going to take a more serious approach to whatever that glow up internally is going to be. And I do like that. I'm willing to be patient for that it's not just going to be we threw some decals on it. So
that is still the main thing it needs, though. It just needs a massive decal pass. I think it the way Ben talked in the ship thing the other week, I think he's learning that he has to he has these visions, but he's also got to listen to people. That's kind of what I heard, right?
Yeah.
He essentially listened with the Perseus, and then he went back and went to Decal City and all these type of things. And now the arrival of the Perseus and the arrival of the Polaris have both been praised, but I think you'd agree the praise on the Perseus was a lot higher than the praise on the Polaris.
Yeah.
And they've even said they're going to go back and they already have. You would have seen those lines on the floor, the orange and blue.
Yeah, those guidelines. And here's the thing, I don't disagree with what Ben was saying about the interior of the Polaris. I think that was kind of cool to make it a little bit brutalist and oppressive inside this war machine.
Yep.
You can still do some of the decal work and stuff and still still keep to that brutalist sort of style. I sometimes wonder if they were leaning really heavily, though, on the interior of the Bengal. For anyone who's seen the interior of the Bengal, it's very brutalist as well. It's got a lot of bare oppressive walls and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think you'd agree with any game a movie. I know you work in the movies and stuff, but you aim at one place and then you adjust your trajectory. You know, so he's had this vision that he just wanted to work on, and he's probably looked at it and gone, this didn't quite land. Let's modify it slightly. Yeah. And I think that'll be the case, because no offense to Ben, and this is taking Ben aside, Ben may one day leave the company. What happens when the next person comes in and they have a different vision?
Yeah.
Right. So it'll change trajectory again. I reckon that'll be the same with all ships.
Yeah, we hope it doesn't, but it wouldn't be the first time an art director for ships has left. Yep. Paul Jones was the former art director. He left, What we got next, Art? What's the next question?
It is from our favorite type of pasta, the shim type pasta.
Okay.
Do you feel the battle cruiser will be hull limited?
Without a doubt.
I think it'll definitely be up there with the way Javelins and Krakens and Idrises are all sold. So yes, I also think that they'll probably, the bigger a ship becomes, the less of them they will sell.
Yeah.
Like
the actual waves will be smaller than say a Kraken wave.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, I don't look. I don't own a Javelin, but I would be very annoyed. I think anyone that owns a big ship be slightly annoyed. We were promised that the Javelin was the biggest ship that was ever going to be sold, but clearly they've broken several of their own rules over the last 12 months or more, last couple of years.
Yeah, I think it was in an Invictus about 3 years ago or so where they reiterated that the Javelin was the biggest player ownable ship. But obviously that's changed now.
Yeah. So again, it's clearly to do with funding. They are clearly trying to. It's really the last place you can sell a concept before more normal people come along, before Squadron comes out. Because again, sitting where we are sitting now, in 12 months' time, boy, are we going to be in a different game. We're going to be a completely different world, man. You know, there are going to be people in chat that have no idea what this game is by a long shot. We'll probably be sitting in an ocean of other people playing Squadron. Our community is going to be forever changed. And I don't know if that's going to be positive or negative. But then again, that'll die down over time as the Squadron hype starts to drop. And then how many of those transfer over to Star Citizen? And they'll probably
be a little bit of
turn
both.
out to be. Yeah, they'll turn out to be a little bit like us, you know, like they'll get more deep into it and stuff like that. And there are people that I talk to who have no idea about Squadron even existed, and they've played Star Citizen for 4 or 5 years, you know. So it's just
it's not going to be just a new world for us. It's going to be a new world for CIG. CIG hasn't existed as a company with a full release product out there yet, and this is going to be that. You know what I mean? Which means they're going to have strike teams ready to release emergency patches and this and that and the other. Anytime you get a single player game out and it's successful, which we hope Squadron 42 is, people are going to be wondering when the next expansion, or at the very least when the next patch is going to be that brings a couple new features or whatever. So that's going to happen, you know what I mean? And CIG's got to be ready for that, and hopefully they are.
No, absolutely agree with that.
What's the next one, Art?
Accidental Friendly Fire has, why are the Phoenix Hull E and 890 Jump hull limited? They are not and are not ever going to be over 1K.
Because they were just designed to be speciality things. Like if you're going to have luxury, it's the line from The Incredibles: when everyone's special, nobody is. It's just that simple.
And those ships also, when their concepts came out, but also when they went flight ready, was at a time when there was a much smaller ship pool, and those were just supposed to be special ships that you didn't see around as much. You know what I mean? That was sort of the idea. So nowadays, I don't know if the Connie Phoenix would, like, if the Connie Phoenix was to come out now, I don't know if it would be hull limited. You know what I mean? I mean, they've kept it hull limited, so maybe they do want it to be hull limited for that reason, but
they do. They want luxury to be a specialty thing. Like if you essentially look at a lot of the Origin ships, most of them are only sold at sales, and the bigger you go, the more limited they become. And they are the luxury manufacturer, but something like the Phoenix is truly meant to be rare.
And to be fair, to back that up, we've heard a little bit of that in regards to the 600i rework, where there is going to be the executive version of that's going to be a little bit more different than the other two they're reworking. So, you know, they do want a little bit of that speciality. But all right, Art, what's next?
The common Tater says, do you think the planets will still orbit the suns? Wasn't this a stretch goal?
That they have said that they do want to eventually do that, but there is a complexity to it. And if you think about it, why would you make things more complicated until it's all in place? Removing one of those things. They have worked out the math on it, though. Because one of the big ones is when you start heading towards a planet, you've got to arrive where the planet's going to be, not where the planet is. So there's things like that to take into account too. But they have done the math.
I remember when they talked about that, where it's like your spline that you fly along for your jump, it technically is going to have to be in a different place you know, when you get there, especially over a large system. So I remember them talking about that. It's been a while though. What else we got, Art?
Let's see here. How many, is this from Tibbles, how many MDCs do you think will fit on the Liberator, and will they have the MDC fixed by the time the Liberator comes out?
A lot. You'll be able to fit a lot.
Geez.
You could try that out in
it'll
Fleet
be a
Viewer
lot.
right now, by the way. You could do that on Fleet Viewer if you want to know, because the MTC is on Fleet Viewer. So you could go in there, you could add a Liberator, not the Super Liberator, just a Liberator, and you could add the MTC, which is at least the same size. MDC, by the way, is finished. We could probably put that up very soon. You can select all, go to top-down view, remove the ship labels.
24.
Yeah, and there you go. You could start populating these out, see how many would fit, at least on the top.
And then
decks.
maybe 3 in between that, so maybe 27.
Yeah, so could be nine. Yeah, could be 27 easily. What we got, Art?
Art, you're fired.
Yep. I hit the button. Yep. I muted myself right when I started to talk. VIP Gamers said, do you think CIG will announce the Squadron 42? Oh my God. How do I mess that up? Release date at the Game Awards like other studios do.
So I'm going to caveat this question a little bit, and I just want let me know if you agree with me or not, Grim.
Yeah.
There is a big difference between, everyone worries about GTA 6, right? Big panic, GTA 6. Oh no, don't release a game near GTA 6. No. But GTA 6 is a console game. Squadron 42 is a PC game.
Yeah.
Right? So they can safely release them. I wouldn't release them exactly the same time, but say, for example, they're talking about releasing it at the 20th of November. If you were to release it, say, October 10th, like CitizenCon, I think you'd be fairly fine with that, right? So that's a month and a half, essentially, for you to play that. And if you're sitting there waiting and you have shit tons of cash, like you're someone that has a PC and you have a console, I think you can afford to buy both games. Right, so you probably play Squadron while you're waiting for GTA to come out the next month over. If you don't have the money to buy Star Citizen, you probably already own a console and you were never going to buy Squadron anyway. Sorry, I said Star Citizen, I meant to say Squadron. So it was never an issue. So I think when you start to look at it, like take yourself back from it and start to think about it more logically, I don't think Squadrons as in GTA are in each other's way as much as people think they are. I think for other games, yes, but not Squadron.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. I think, one interesting thing that I think is going to be problematic for PC games in general next year is just what's going on. Because, with if a
prices.
cool new prices are out of control. Oh my God, I went looking at RAM the other day because I was hearing about all the RAM shortages. The prices for RAM are insane. That could be really problematic for new adopters,
There's a really good video by a guy called Legendary Jops that he did just yesterday or the day before. And he literally talks about where he thinks it's going. And it is a very scary future that may actually blow up in their face because it's literally Microsoft and NVIDIA. They are trying to push, they're the ones that are making all the prices go up because of AI and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But one of the advantages of that is then they can move everyone over to cloud services, which they've been trying to make a thing for years, but nobody's interested in. But as soon as that becomes cheaper than buying hardware yourself, which is where we're going very rapidly, you have to rely on them. And then you get rid of your PC and you become into their subscription model, and then they can do what they did with Game Pass and Netflix and all that, and they can just put the price up.
Yeah.
So that's what the scary future we're moving towards. But here's the kicker that they haven't counted on. That only really includes AAA games. There's been a massive resurgence in independent games and that are of a much lower quality. And if you go out and look at the Steam charts, there are people that are still running 2080s and 1080s, and they haven't upgraded in almost a decade. And people are even talking about getting DDR4 instead of getting DDR5 and things like that. So people are happy to stay with this older stuff that they've got because the other stuff has just become too expensive. And I think you agree, there's very few games where the graphics like Star Citizen really add to the game. They tend to detract from it.
And that's why I say for Squadron 42, it could be a slight issue next year, because if it releases, exciting new game releases on the PC, you have a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm going to upgrade so I can play it properly, right? I remember a lot of people did that with Cyberpunk and stuff like that. So that can maybe be a little problem, a little bit of a problem. And I don't think that's going to be like a major roadblocker to sales on Squadron. If it's a good game, it's a good game. But it's just another consideration. But Art, what's the next question?
Okay, I was scrolling through it. I found a really good one.
Yeah.
If you were Chris Roberts for a day, what ship, in concept or completely your own idea, would you push to production right away? And obviously, we're going to start with Execute because Grim's going to say Kraken.
Well, the Kraken's in production though, so I can't say
That's
that
true.
when the Kraken's in production. Let's be fair.
I'm pretty sure Grim could guess. He gets 2 guesses, but he'll probably only need 1.
For you, it would be the Endeavor. It'd be the Endeavor for sure.
Because of all the shit that it would give you.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, in concept, ship, and there's not a lot of them left that aren't either in production or going into production. I think I would probably say the Crucible. The Crucible.
That was my second choice, by the way.
Ship I'm getting more and more excited about. I have one in buybacks. I think it's going to be a important ship when it does come. So.
Again, I know we've just had AI go past, but again, Gemini to Crucible or Gemini to Endeavor, $10 and just sit on them.
Yeah.
Don't have them in buyback, have them ready to go. You can meld them and knowing when they come, buy them back. But again, for $10, you'd be crazy not to sit on those. I've got a shit ton of them in buyback over the years.
Yeah.
Because there are always people after the sales. It's like, oh, I want to get one.
Yeah.
And I just buy it out at cost and give it to them.
All right, Art. What else we got?
Sooner rather than later. He's hit the mute button again and he's talking to himself. I bet you $1,000 he's sitting there talking to himself like a dickhead.
I wasn't actually. I was trying to find a good question.
Yeah,
he's trying to find a question worthy.
I still picture you last time where you muted yourself and you were talking to yourself like a dickhead. I knew you were doing it.
He's just trying to pick that worthy question for us.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
Wolf Blitzer
I smell bullshit.
Well, I mean, hey, at least you're smelling something.
Yeah.
Wolf Blitzer asks, do you think they will have other manufacturers or ships that will carry close to the amounts that the Hull D and E will?
No, and they said as much.
Yeah. And if they do, it won't be for a long time and would probably be in an expansion post 1.0, like a patch.
Agreed.
And it would probably be in the form of some like crazy alien cargo ship or something like that.
Yeah. Or do they get ridiculous and make a whole F? But again, most of the reasons why they're limiting it, right, is gameplay is a part of it, right? Gameplay trumps all. But the other part that you've really got to take into account is that entity count was just insane. 98,000 entities. There is no way you're going to pull that off on a network game. It's insane.
And we were saying this on the last stream, actually. Now that we know 32 SCU crates are the biggest crate that they're currently planning for, that tells you a lot about where they're going with ship SCU capacity and stuff moving forward.
Yeah. I think you would agree that they'll probably even put restrictions on, I don't know, all ships, but I mean specifically the D&E, they'll probably say you can only have 32 SCU cargo containers. Probably. I'm not saying they will, but for performance reasons, they may.
Yep. I could say I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. What's next, Art?
Do you? This is from Mr. Blarkin. Will or should there be a multi-tool fire extinguisher attachment?
Ooh, that's a good question.
An optional. He put in parentheses there. An optional super soaker backpack attachment.
Here I want a Drake foam. Fire extinguisher.
Yeah,
and it just bubbles everywhere.
Well,
what was that game? It was a sequel of that other game, and you had those black creatures, and you put foam all over them.
Yeah, I remember that.
I can't
remember what that was.
And it was not like the original. It was such a change from the original game, but it was someone will say it in chat, but it was it was a spin-off game that was Prey. That's it. Yeah, the first Prey got cancelled, and the second Prey was nothing like the first, which was a real shame because the first Prey had a lot of Indian influences, as in American Indian, and then they removed it all, which is a real shame.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I would like there to be a multi-tool attachment that does that. I guess the only thing I would say would be that it's got to be really limited, much more limited than a fire extinguisher.
Sorry, I have to interrupt. This is the thought of what Blue just said. Backpack gets hit with a bullet, you explode in expanding foam. Just get surrounded.
Those are the risks. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be so good. Best way to die.
Doesn't that mean you don't need an escape pod then at that point? You are the escape pod?
Yeah.
That's the Drake one. I think we changed it from the plastic bubble wrap I was talking about just to expanding foam and a gas tank. Your gas mask, expanding foam. And they're going to chip you out to get you out of the Drake escape pod.
Yeah, you become what you fear. All right, what else we got?
Sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Raygun 972 says, do you think we'll be able to choose between our multiple engineering presets from the pilot seat?
No. Again, I think it's a gameplay thing.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think those presets, I think they're primarily meant to be a tool for the engineer to make their job easier.
I think the other thing I was going to say is, you notice how the engineering panel kind of has that full screen of the different power allocations and stuff like that, but the pilot and the engineer, the co-pilot, get this little preview, so they can change a couple of little things, but the main person's job of that power allocation as well seems to be the engineer.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but that's the feeling I'm getting.
All right, what else we got, Art?
Gin and Tonic asks, don't you think there needs to be a way to pull regular maintenance to offset the effects of wear and tear? The B-52 fleet is as old as I am or older. I'm freaking ancient.
Yeah, it's something I am a bit concerned about as wear and tear. Even in today's video, the way they talked about, you've repaired it 3 times and now you've got to go buy another component.
Yeah.
That's literally up there with eating and drinking, which pisses me off to high heaven in this game. It's way too frequent.
Yeah.
And if I have to get a new component every 2 days or 3 days or whatever, I'm just going to be like, nah, piss off. It'll drive me nuts.
Yeah, I can't.
It really comes down to time.
And I see them they're already getting a lot of vocal pushback on that, even though it's only been announced now for a little bit. And I think that's not going to abate. So I think that's something they're gonna have to change, because it's just a big negative stinker on top of what's supposed to be an exciting new feature. So I think we're going to see a rethink on that.
Yeah, definitely it'll tweak over time like everything else. Again, I'm not even happy with where eating and drinking is. I think it's way too frequent.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you.
I eat and drink more in that game than I do in real life, and that's just kind of crazy.
Exactly. I mean, I would be okay with wear and tear not even being turned on yet. Because to me, it makes more sense when we're playing a game where you might literally have a ship out and about on the frontier for weeks on end. Then that makes a lot more sense. Now, the uptime is just not there for something like that, in my opinion.
So I've seen someone that took an Apollo out, and they had an Apollo for a week without claiming it, and from it had that black and gold skin on it, right? And you couldn't even tell it had the skin on it because it'd been peeled off from the front, unless you stood at the back, and it was only on 2 little nacelles that you could see any gold. The entire ship just looked completely white.
Oh wow.
As if the paint had been completely stripped. Now, I don't know about you, but it would be hard enough to sandblast a car from the front to make it look like that.
Yeah.
Let alone you put it in real life. How long is that going to take? Now, it's meant to be 4 times the speed in this game. Fair enough. But again, no way.
I think too, it should vary by location. So if you're on an acidic planet flying through the atmosphere, sure, wear and tear super fast. But if you're just out in like the vacuum of space in Stanton, it should have almost no wear and tear effect, like almost zero. Agree. You know what I mean? Maybe if you're in Pyro with its big solar blast, okay, maybe wear and tear's amped up a little bit there.
Well, even in different
it's-
locations. So
Yeah.
if it's distortion based, it affects electronics on your ship. If it's acid and it's external, it affects the hull. Again, that they're all environmental hazards that are still yet to come. And I totally agree with what you're saying. So yeah.
Next question.
Vasily Zatsev. I think I nailed that one.
Yep.
Is engineering something players struggle with until CIG is happy with it?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what sort of what I mean. It's going to be painful for a while. You know what I mean? But here's
I don't think it's exactly for a while. I think it's just like it'll have broader strokes to get smaller and smaller strokes, but it will take a long time to get it honed in for every single ship. I think what you're seeing right now is probably 4 or 5 different baselines, you know, like all the capitals are roughly the same, all the mediums are roughly the same, and then they start to diversify out over time. So it is going to get more complicated, but it's just this is the first step.
Yeah.
All right, Karaz the Boz asks, how do you think wear and tear is going to work on something like the Kraken, both on its own components and the repair and refuel of ships that land on it? Are we looking at workbenches, pad repair?
Well, you know, with the internal hangars of the Kraken, which to the best of my knowledge, the internal hangars are the ones that can actually do repair. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but those hangars, I think, will have essentially landing pad or like if you're landing in your hangar and you have repair vehicle services, it's going to have sort of vehicle services function. The exterior landing pads, though, I don't think they're going to have anything but refuel services, if I had to guess. But
I think you'd also have
think?
You'd also have hand pair retool because you can do that anywhere. But essentially, at minimum, I'd be expecting the same thing for the assault with the vehicles, but for ships and the Kraken.
Yeah, I do think ships like the Kraken and Idris actually at some point in the future, maybe the Kraken will come online with this, I don't know, but at some point in the future, you're going to have, you know how we have all the ground refueling ports on ships and vehicles? The internal hangar of the Idris, the external pads of the Kraken, they're all going to have the hoses or whatever that you connect to those nozzles to refuel ships from there. So, yeah.
Again, it just shows you another strength of the Kraken over the Idris, the repair facilities. There isn't, like, other than really hand repair tool, there isn't massive repair facilities on the Idris at all. There's currently no plans or anything that's been talked about as in a fabricator. Not to say that they couldn't add them, but at the moment, there's no plans for like that. But again, we know that they've got the repair hangers on the Kraken, so they're definitely a thing compared to the Idris. And that's, again, something that we just didn't really know back in the day that really puts the Kraken in a different spot over the Idris.
Yeah.
A drawback, but again, drawback being it's external for the pads, but you also get the repair facilities. You don't get it on the Idris as much other than hand tools.
Yeah. All right, what we got next?
Vasily Setsev nailed it again. Had a really good follow-up question. Was any idea if alien multi-crew ships will get some form of self-repair or maintenance to justify some of the alien tax already paid?
That's a very loaded question because we just don't know. It's not something that's ever really been talked about to my knowledge. I think you'd agree with me on that, Grim. I don't think it's about justifying the alien tax. Essentially what you're justifying with a lot of the pricing of those more expensive ships is the rep grind. That's why military combat ships are more expensive than just a regular combat ship because you have to rep grind with a particular organization more than likely to get them. And I think it would be exactly the same for the aliens because if you think about it, rep grinding specifically to get alien ships is going to be a more dedicated, like it's a lot of time just to get alien ships if you do the math. But again, this is all speculatory.
Do you think that they're going to have different engineering abilities though? I mean, do you think that with it being alien tech, is it going to have an advantage?
The only caveat to that would be perhaps if you have alien components in that alien ship, then perhaps an alien multi-tool would be required. But
they're not.
If it's an alien ship and it's still just using Juno Starworks components and stuff, then I don't know if there's much of a difference between the alien and human tech at that point, because it's the same component that's being repaired.
And that'll probably be the figuratorily difference between, say, a captured Vandal Scythe and a replica Vandal Scythe is the components. And again, you look at the Saulian as an example. The Saulian has human components because it was built for the civilian market. So the ones that come over, like the Raelian and that, they'll have human components in it. But eventually, if you know, they always talked about doing an expansion pack for the aliens, and you could play as said aliens. You would then expect aliens might have their own components. So does someone like the Banu, that's very organic, do they regrow? Do they have the ability to self-heal? Like, you know, you cut off a lizard's tail, it regrows the tail. Like, is it something similar to that? Do the Xian have other advantages? Like, they've got a turtle shell, so is their shit just more defensive? You know, like we don't know. So that you can only speculate. And it's an interesting question. It really is.
Yeah.
But again, anything I'm going to say is just going to be speculatory.
Yeah. What else we got?
Rabbit asked, do you expect different ship manufacturers will have varying degrees of automation in regards to fire suppression and fused mags for relays?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it really comes down, maybe the manufacturer side of it is part of that equation. It probably really comes down to materials and tier. Like, I could see, for example, if you craft a tier 5 Mercury Star Runner, maybe the material quality has some fire resistance buffer in it over a lower tier MSR. You know,
manufacturers too, like Origin is highly defensive. They're essentially flying safe rooms. So if there's a fire, they've probably got a fire suppression system that just puts it out, right? But then again, maybe on the tier 0 of the Origin, they don't have that. They just have fire extinguishers like everyone else. So, again, and does that mean when you get to a Drake tier 5, maybe they get it as well? But on the lower one, they don't. It really depends.
This is a whole other thing. Going back to our earlier the earlier conversation though about engineering, the uplift there, the friction it's adding to the game. I mean, don't forget, all these components that we're talking about that are directly affected by engineering are eventually going to have tiers that you can craft them. And then, so even their baseline numbers that we see now in testing are probably just the middle baseline or probably a lower tier. Eventually, we're going to be able to craft higher quality, higher tier, higher durability, you know, power plants and quantum drives and all that. So, yeah, what else we got? Got time for about another 15 minutes of questions, everybody.
Socially Confused asked, is life support working in 4.5?
Well, what did you say? 4.1? Oh, we have to 4.5?
No, 4.5. I don't know if I might cut out. 4.5. Is life support working in 4.5?
Yes, Pissball Pete was doing some testing and he could suffocate when he opened all the doors. So yes.
Yeah. And we know that room venting is working, which is not totally life support. The other thing, if I don't know if they added it to the live build. I think they would. Otherwise, I'd show the image but the image I took while I was in Evocati. But for example, on the back of the Polaris, inside where that little engineering alcove is, there's 2 new areas they put back there with new geometry. One of them looks like a different type of gravity generator, and the other one, but it's not a gravity generator. I don't know what the hell it is, but that's on the port side. On the starboard side back there engineering, they installed 4 large life support filters, and they're really big. They're like, you know, the size of like the railgun or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Are they putting batteries in the Polaris or not?
Maybe. On the other side, on the port side, it looks like this, like a shielded alcove like you would have it for a gravity generator, but where the circle ball that's rotating normally would be, it's like this like electrical conduit now, and there's an engineering terminal there. So there's some new geometry back there. It's pretty interesting.
Well, again, if that's coming in now, it just shows what they were saying. They are working on the Polaris in the background.
Yeah, for sure. Which I, again, just thought that was interesting that they did that. So yeah, and you're right. There's work going on the Polaris. What we have next?
Gin and Tonic asked, have they published a list of ships which will have engineering enabled for 4.5?
It was in the patch notes for Evocati. And the PTU. There
Yeah,
was a list of
I do
them.
know there's like 80 ships that have it kind of fully working with I think with like 30 ships that's only partially working.
Yeah.
Real quick, execute. I'm DMing again. I don't know if they put it in the 4.5 build. It was in the 4.5 Evo build, but I'm dropping them in our DMs. You can see those two rooms. One of them is 4 big life support filters, and again, those are on the rear
Oh,
side.
wow.
Rear
They're
side of
huge.
rear side of the Polaris, and you can see in front of both of those alcoves, there's an engineering console now.
That looks like a Frankenstein laser.
I know. I don't know what that is. So when you say that the Polaris is getting some additional work, yeah, it's getting some additional work. These are 2 new areas in it. So, next question there, Art.
Rabbit asked, subcomponents, how deep will they go? Take a battery, for example. Will there be a cell, connectors, frame, chassis, heatsink, etc.? How granular do you think it's going to go?
Can't talk about batteries specifically because they've never talked about subcomponents for a battery. But the one they did talk about back in the day was a power plant, and they talked about 3 subcomponents. And you can kind of see a lot of the power plants have doors on them, so it's kind of like on that thing it'll open, and they open in different ways. But you're gonna they clearly are about the same size as the fuses. Because to give an example, on the life support one, they have these charcoal filter things that go in, and depending on the size of the ship, like an Intrepid has a single one, but I've seen a Perseus and it has 3 of them, right? So they've made subcomponents roughly all the same. To metrics, they're finally using metrics to the same size. But again, you're probably right, something like that would eventually hopefully come along for batteries as well. But again, they've never really elaborated, and I think that's one of the areas they haven't talked about because they're scared people are going to freak out. So they're trying to drip feed us, well, not drip feed, but spoon feed us a little bit at a time so we can take it all in. Again, this has always been planned. They've talked about it from the beginning. But again, how do you get that differentiation between components? The subcomponents, and you're not going to want to rip a size 3 out all the time. Like they've talked about size 3s, you can't move them. Well, what makes it different? The subcomponents.
There's a video too. I don't have it queued up, but there is a video, by the way, that has a discussion about subcomponents in it. It's a really old video. Another thing I think we need to consider about subcomponents is there may be subcomponents that are kind of physical in nature, in that they are things we can remove from the item, repair, fix, put a new one in, whatever, like the filters that Execute was alluding to. I can also see a future where some components have subcomponents that are purely done in the crafting end of that components, like,
you might get bespoke ones too, where a certain component can't be taken out, and stuff like that too.
Where it's almost like if you're crafting a component, and let's say you're crafting a tier 3 component, so it's a really high end, there may be some sub attributes you can give to it in the crafting phase. While they're not subcomponents per se, I guess you could call them substats that maybe can applied in the crafting stage. We don't know yet, but I have a feeling that's going to be the case because they've talked so much about our resource quality, like the stuff we build components out of or ships out of are going to have quality levels too. And those quality levels, I think, are going to have a direct effect on those little sub numbers, I guess is the best way to put it. The sub stats, you know what I mean? So.
Again, there's not enough detail to completely go into detail on all those things. Again, a lot of what we're saying is speculatory, but I would highly recommend the video that you're talking about. Look up subcomponents. I'm sure you can find some people talking about them.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's part of it's either a video or one of their blog posts, and I think it's related to repair gameplay, actually, that they discuss subcomponents, but it's in there. You'll find it somewhere.
You'll definitely hear about it again as time goes on. Like, we're getting engineering coming in, we're getting base building coming in. You got to remember, a lot of these systems that work in ships also work in bases. It's like I said when you were talking about the Crucible's probably closer than further away because of the capital ships coming in. They're going to need a way to repair. They don't really have a way to repair so much at the moment. So the Crucible, maybe it might be 2 years away. But again, working on the Liberator, it tells me the Crucible is closer than you think, because again, building up that library between the Carrack and the Liberator. They're the only two larger corvettes that we've currently got in that space. You can see sooner rather than later.
I'm gonna bring this over real quick. This is a that you all see on screen right now. This is again, this is really old. This is from 2015. I will copy the link here so I can paste it in the chat. And it's design notes, repair, and maintenance. Now again, 1,000 things have probably changed, but if I scroll down, there is this section here you can see where they specifically talk about subcomponents. And again, those subcomponents have all kinds of things, you know, capacitors, EM insulators, kinetic barriers, and those things have direct, you know, effects on the component itself. Obviously, with the capacitor, it says here the capacitor helps protect the component by absorbing harmful or unwanted energy. So again, they're like little buffs and stuff that you can give your components essentially, and they're probably going to be tunable.
And again, and the different type of components, subcomponents you'd put in totally change how it works.
Yeah.
And again, like an industrial gameplay might require longevity, where a military one's trying to protect itself. That's a really good example, just to show you how the same power plant all of a sudden can be used in different ways.
Yeah, and to be fair, Blue Jester says in chat, 2015 CIG is another universe at this point. That's true. It's super old. It's just the best information we have at the moment, sort of thing. You know,
John and Ben literally said at CitizenCon last year when we sat down with them, if they haven't updated something, that it hasn't changed. Yeah. So we hear that a lot. I hear that excuse all the time from people. Oh, they haven't told us that in years. Well, guess what just happened at the AIE? They re-released all those best in show skins, and I was told by so many people for years that they're not going to ever sell them again. Well, that's bullshit. So again, I'm going to go with what I've been told by CIG, not by the way people feel.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean in Blue Jester, it doesn't mean you're wrong and that they're not going to update heavily. It's just that's probably the current, you know, the current design notes they have on repair at the moment.
But again, let's look at Death of a Spaceman. That was 13 years or 10 years between drinks of the update of that. And when that came out, how much of it actually changed? Very little. Most of it was, you know, backstory, that they were Vandal based rather than how it functionally worked. They're pretty much exactly the same. Yeah. It'll be the same thing here. Things will update and change, just like what happened with engineering over the last 12 months. It will update and change, but until they tell us any different, you have to at least go, okay, this is the baseline.
Yeah.
You know, most of this is accurate because they've never updated. If it was a massive drastic change, they would have let us know.
Everybody, we're getting semi near the end of the show here, so we still have a lot of questions, so we're gonna Art had to step away because he is got to deal with some kiddo stuff, so I'm gonna pick up some of the questions here. So I'm just gonna grab some randomly. Again, a lot of questions still to catch up on. Questions are popular. I need to do like a big Ask Me Anything episode that lasts 6 hours long one day. Says here, Shimpasta says, question, with all the different metrics for ships and now with engineering coming online, do you think it'll be impossible to balance everything? Absolutely impossible. Yeah. Look at World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, any game that's ever existed. It's never been perfectly balanced at any point in its life. There's always a meta. There's always something that's good for that patch cycle or broken for this patch cycle. It will never be balanced, in my opinion. But even they'll strive for that, but you know.
You put a healer versus a tank, right? Mm-hmm. In different scenarios, they're going to beat each other. It's exactly the same thing. It depends on, you know, what location you're at, who got the jump on who. Like, there's so many factors in there. Again, I think what they're going for is diversity, and through diversity, it's going to feel more balanced. I think that's what they're going for. And again, it's such a tough one to call. I know what I can see where they're trying to head, but if it's radically, massively weighted to one ship, then they'll obviously nerf this shit out of something like that.
Yeah. Here's a good question that I want to hit. This one is from Minro Lol. Hopefully I said that right. It says here, one second. It says, with size 3 to 4 components only being replaceable at stations, this means wear and tear will necessitate docking. So for large exploration ships like the Odyssey that are sold as self-sufficient, it seems as if it'll be sent back to stations all the time. So the Star Trek long-term exploration fantasy will only be plausible in small ships which aren't self-sufficient. And essentially what are our thoughts on that? And that's a great question, actually. I hadn't thought about that. That's a great question.
It just comes back to wear and tear. Like wear and tear cannot be as that
needs to be changed.
It's got to be.
And
the other thing is, were you under attack? Were you not under attack?
Yeah.
Like if you're not under attack, it's obviously going to run for quite a while and not break down. But if you're constantly under attack, like that's where a lot of the cost is going to come on military ships, because they're going to be constantly repairing and updating and replacing shit because they're in harm's way. But an industry ship, not so much.
I also think CIG could explore other first 100% what Execute's saying. The wear and tear system has to be kind of figured out. Obviously, that's not going to work in its current form. What I would also add to that is that there's probably a bunch of things they need to do. One of the things, for example, is we keep hearing about you fly your ship, it slowly wears out or it gets broken and you have to fix it. What we haven't heard, and again, that's why I wanted more than a 13-minute episode on engineering, and hopefully we'll get it soon, is what about upkeep maintenance? What if you're someone that does regular upkeep maintenance to your components so that they never wear out? Because every certain number of flight hours, you do, maybe they call it a diagnostics on the component, right? The engineer does, hey, I'm going to run a diagnostics, which means, and maybe there's a downside. So maybe like doing a diagnostics on the power plant makes the power plant shut down for 20 minutes. But when you do that diagnostics, it like brings all of its wear levels back down to zero. You know what I mean? To where it's good to go again. So that you can make those long journeys. Right now, maintenance is literally just to fix broken stuff. I think CIG does need to bring in some sort of like upkeep maintenance.
Well, Wobbless makes a really good comment there too, is once you bring in the subcomponents, most of the wear and tear can be transferred to the subcomponents. They would be the things that you're swapping out far more frequently than you are swapping out the actual components themselves. And I think the other thing, like I was trying to get at, is a combat ship would obviously be rotating. I'm just going to try and think of one example here. They're taking hits on the shields all the time. So they're more likely going to need to repair and fix the shields a lot more than, say, I can't even really think of one. The battery, or I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say, right? But then you go to an industrial ship, they're clearly going to probably, like, say it's a salvage and they're powering their laser all the time. Then maybe their power plant becomes their most important component. But their shields, they don't give two shits about because they're not getting attacked all the time. You see where I'm trying to go here? So it's going to be different strengths and weaknesses per ship, and you're not going to be able to just take an engineer on an industrial ship and go, oh, here, by the way, run my Idris. Because there's going to be different skill levels. That's what I was trying to get at. When you start to bring all these ships types round, you're going to get engineers that specialize in combat. You're going to get engineers that specialize in specialities. And it'll also be like, oh, I only deal with small ships, or I only deal with the big industry. Or again, I'm sure you'll get people that just are the masters and the trades of everything, but they will never be as the guy that just flies the Spirit, and all he gives a shit about is the Spirit, and he is the ultimate engineer co-pilot guy in that Spirit.
Yeah. We do have one other person waiting in the green room, Max Dredd. We'll bring Max Dredd over and get the live question from him real quick. Stand by.
Sure.
Max Dredd, you're on the show. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Do we have you? You're muted.
He's doing an art. He's art imitating life.
See if you can unmute Max, if you can hear me. And
does he have the ability to unmute himself in this room? That's the other thing I got to ask, because he might not be able to unmute.
Let me see.
You might have to, because he might be permanently muted if you haven't set it up correctly. What's his role?
He shouldn't be. He should be good. Unless he didn't accept the rules.
Send a message to Grim if you can't.
Send me a DM if you can't talk. I'd be curious to see if it's messed up or something.
We'll keep going until he joins us, or until such time you can get it fixed.
Send me a DM, Max.
Grab another question while you wait for Max.
Yep, grabbing another question. This is a good one here. It says, with engineering...
Oh, he's unmuted.
Oh, okay.
He's unmuted.
Let me grab him.
As soon as you dropped him into the room. Yep.
All right, there we go. Hey, man. Oh, no, but it does
mute him. And now he's
him.
muted. See? I knew it.
It does mute him. How do I unmute him?
Yeah. You have to give him a role so he can unmute himself. On the Infrunners, we have a role specifically for this. When we make someone a Merlin on our channel,
Let me put it in here. Standby. I'll put in a.
See, this is what happens when executes make Grim do things that he's not used to doing. Yep.
All right, that should do it. He's got a good roll.
Drag him out, and drag him back in.
Okay.
And that it should unmute him, but he has to unmute himself in the other channel first. Okay. So if you drag him back out and he's unmuted, then you can drag him straight back in.
Okay. He's unmuted.
Oh, he's unmuted. So drag him back. It didn't work.
Okay, interesting. Let me figure that out.
So what we could do is go out of this channel, but then
you know what? I'll drag us down to party one for a minute.
Yep, go for that.
Let's see. Here we go. All right, Max, can you hear us now?
Max
should be unmuted.
Yes, you should be able to hear me now.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, we
can hear you now. Hey, Max, how are you, man?
Hey, man. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Reshare your screen, please, Jim.
Did I stop sharing? Yep, sorry about that.
Yeah, because we moved channel.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Max, what's your thoughts on engineering?
I love it, but I ran into something a little bit ago that actually is connected to engineering. When they get gravity online, picture taking your Caterpillar, flying it sideways and dumping all the cargo out, or any other ship for that matter.
Right, like the roll-on effects of something like that. Yeah,
that was thing. That was planned.
They do. Yeah, they do it for things like potatoes and apples and things like that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's definitely something to consider. I was just talking to someone the other day about the Ironclad and its main big cargo area and what you'll be able to do in there when you shut gravity off in that room, in the future. I imagine you'll be seeing people do like 0G, FPS battles and stuff in there. And then obviously we've talked a lot about it in the past related to the Kraken and its decks, being able to shut off gravity or maglock, whatever they want to call it, to the primary flight decks if needed to help prevent boarding. But it's an interesting thing. And I guess that has not come on board with the latest build, right? We don't have gravity control.
Not yet.
Well, the thing that I was looking over, though, wasn't exactly as much engineering, but it actually is very connected to it, is all the work that they're doing on the Ironclad and making things that would be compatible with the Caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to link a Spectrum post that I created a little while ago,
and
let you guys look at it because I think it's logically sound for what to do.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to relate this back to the topic at hand. What's this got to do with engineering?
Well, the resource group method for the ships is directly related to the modularity that's going to be required for the Caterpillar and other things.
Oh, you mean in terms of like gravity and room control across the modules and how that plugs into the resource network?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Caterpillar is one of those ships. It's like essentially a mini Endeavour. It's going to be really down the line. You're really not going to see that ship to much further down than where we are now.
Well, the thing of it is the groundwork for those things are definitely in place, though, because you have the one ship that has the drop modules, the missile modules, and other things. You've got the medevacs that has their modular medical base. So this is right along with that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, still a lot more to come though too. You got the elevators, the doors, because the one of the hard parts for the Caterpillar is the doors and the elevators are the same thing.
Yeah.
And all those individual modules are meant to be able to break apart and be self-contained. So it is a fairly complicated ship compared to others.
But what it does highlight is that we're still missing quite a bit from, from this system. So.
Yep.
Right. Well, I pasted the link that I put on Spectrum that details what I proposed.
Okay.
And it's not real far from what we're actually doing for these other ships.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to eventually need the full rework.
Okay. Yeah. I'd agree with that. I would agree with that. I mean, I think that's going to be the case could be the case for several ships, to be totally honest with you. We'll have to see. But I think it's a great point. Where did you paste the link at?
I sent it to me. He didn't send it to you, but there are things. I'll send it to you. But there's things in here that are not going to exist either. So you've got, like, you've mentioned PDCSs and stuff like that. A ship of that size is not going to get PDCs.
Right. But using the body of that ship as a stepping stone to base building is a very doable thing.
There's a lot of ships that they could do that with. I think the original plan of the Caterpillar will come to pass, but like I think a lot of it has to change just because of the age of that ship. You got to look at the original 5 ships. The Caterpillar came very briefly after those. The older a ship is, basically the more problems it has.
Yeah.
Starfarer, Retaliator, Aurora, Connie, Freelancer, Caterpillar, like they're all got issues.
Don't forget Reclaimer, because it's got a few issues too.
Yeah.
But the Reclaimer's got massive issues, but it's so much further along than they came in the first year. The Reclaimer didn't turn up to 4 years later.
Yeah. And I did put your Spectrum link down in chat, Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great points. Everyone, make sure you go give that a read. I think those are really good points. I mean, I think there's some interesting stuff here in this post. I definitely want to take some time to read that after the show. But thanks, Mac. Appreciate it.
No problem. Have a wonderful show and good day.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
You too,
thanks for coming on. All right, we will bring in Maximilian now. We'll do one more of these. Let's see here. Maximilian, can you hear us?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hey, Max.
How are you? What's your thoughts on engineering, or whatever else you want to talk about?
Wait! Didn't we just talk to Max?
No, this is a different Max. This is a different
Max.
Max.
Oh, it's different Max. Right, okay.
I have spoken to you before, though, Execute.
No, you have. You have. I know you are. I'm just giving you shit. Yeah.
My question is, do you both think that CIG's ability to see the bigger picture sometimes causes issues with things in the moment, especially with engineering? So, for example, CIG, on their side of seeing the future of crafting base building, and that's why they see players replacing components often, because in their mind you've got players building them, and then possibly with base building, the idea of then selling them on a player-made auction house makes the idea of replacing components seem a lot easier, while in the current game that is a pain in the ass.
Well, yeah, it's a fundamental thing. If we had seen a game like World of Warcraft built in the public eye, you would have seen it come in pieces. It's just, you cannot have everything just turned on at once. It just doesn't work. You got to think of the nature of the game that we're dealing with, and the live environment. It's got to come in pieces that are bite-sized and tangible and handleable. Because again, if you just turned it all on, it would just overwhelm so much people that it would be a completely different game. And I even said, as I said right back at the gaming, the first thing I said to Graham, I said, people are not ready for this. This is the whole other side of a coin. You got the people that have essentially been flying and shooting the ships. Now you got the guy actually running the ship, repairing the ship, and taking care of it. And it's only to get
and what I said deeper. The other day, and I think this holds really true. For years, ships have just been the key to other gameplay loops. Well, now the ship is becoming a gameplay loop, and that's going to be a wild concept to people. Now, going to what you were saying, Maximilian, I mean, I think that's always been a bit of a problem for me, and I think that's why myself, Execute, and other creators that are out there will do shows sometimes that focus on old topics that haven't been talked about, in a while. And the reason is there's a lot of players that don't. Hell, I even put myself in this category where we don't have a holistic view of what CIG is seeing, because some of the things that they may be considering are so ancient and old, or if not ancient and old, were only spoken about on one ISC that has a weird title that no one can ever re-find, or it was spoken about during a citizen con during a 2-hour-long panel. That's the only cross-reference point you have, and the average player coming in the game can't consider that because it's too hard to find that information, and that's problematic. I think that's going to be something that always plagues CIG, though, until we get to the 1.0 stage. But it's a great point. I mean, I think you're 100% right. I think their CIG probably could be here. Well, here's another thing they're factoring in that we're probably not thinking about right now. And execute. You brought this up earlier. Ships like the Clipper that can craft shit right on them. They have crafting tables right on them, and that's gonna. For example, someone was talking about the Odyssey or ships with size 3 and 4 components and not being able to switch those out on long distance trips. And then the other person brought up the idea about the subcomponents taking the wear and tear. Well, in that sort of situation, you could see a ship like the Odyssey having a crafting station on board where it can recraft those subcomponents and keep its longevity. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's probably a lot of like stuff like that we're not considering.
And that'll also be an experience of the engineer, knowing what components to use and what's the difference between using size 3 components and what subcomponents do you need in there to just stop it from exploding. Because if it gets really bad, like if you cut a corner and don't use the right subcomponent, all of a sudden that thing breaks down and you're in the middle of nowhere where you're stuffed. Right. So that you can. What I was trying to get at before when Fish was here, right, is that Star Citizen is clearly a knowledge-based game. Right. I'm going to give an example of another game at the moment that I've been playing is Arc Raiders.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the stuff in Arc Raiders, you have to learn as you go. And I clearly saw ties between how Arc Raiders is doing it and Star Citizen. It's meant to be, one of the things Chris talked about way back in the beginning was he didn't want you to have to level to like 60 like you do in World of Warcraft, and it takes you 2 weeks before you can actually start playing with your friends. He wanted it so you could just jump in and start playing together. But then how do you make that learned artificial barrier? Well, it's a knowledge thing.
Right.
You make it so you learn as you go. So day one, Grim comes along and he can start doing engineering with me, but he's going to set his hair on fire and be terrible. But the more he does it and goes along, he's going to get to the point where he probably surpasses me because I'm like half engineer, half crafting or something, and he becomes a master engineer. You can see very quickly what their intent is with this game, and not many games do it like Arc Raiders did, but playing Arc Raiders, it showed me an idea of what Star Citizen is definitely trying to achieve. And think about it yourselves. Think about all the things when you started playing Star Citizen that you've had to learn. And a lot of it right now is stupid shit like, how do I get around the bugs? But it's still learned, right? And it'll be exactly the same in the final game. Your day one of engineering will not be the same as day 1000. And it's the same thing when you taught yourself to fly, when you taught yourself to do FPS, and now take that and make all those simplified systems more deep and more thought out. You start to see where it's going. It's a game as you learn as you go. That is the leveling process. It is learning.
Yeah.
Just on going back to what I said earlier, and on that knowledge basis as well. Do you think that there could be an issue at CIG where certain employees may not have the knowledge of things said in the past, or the knowledge of how things actually do play in the game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a given. Like, and they admit that, freely admit that. Like, look at Ben. He talked about having to go back and research the Aurora skins because he didn't even know they existed and stuff like that. Right. So again, and I know it with when I talked to Ben and John, there were things that they didn't know. Like one of the things that really annoy Paul and Algrid was what they did with Crusader. They butchered Crusader's lore, but again, gameplay trumps that. But then again, if you'd just taken what they'd done with they're really annoyed by the Ares, these two, right? If you took those Ares and you'd given it to Kruger, you could have kept all the lore, and it would have actually fitted a lot better the Ares as a Kruger ship than a Crusader ship.
And Max, I know you're talking a lot about like game feature, game loop stuff, but it even factors into just design, right? That lack of communication, and or when developers, CIG developers from way back when leave and they take that knowledge with them. A good case in point was someone we were talking about earlier when we talked about Paul Jones. When he left CIG, the Banu Merchantman stopped development. You know what I mean? Because he took all
guy
that
with the
inherent,
elevators.
you know, the elevator guy.
They offered him money to come back, and he said, "Hell no!" You know, he didn't want anything to do it because he hated. He got put on that system, and he didn't want to do that system. Yeah. So when they went to him and asked, he just said, "Nope, go away.
If you
I don't want anything to do with it."
If you extrapolate that out to things like you're talking about, Max, where you know, and some like gameplay feature stuff, I would 100% guess that is the case. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But
the guy, even at a most simple level, me and Agrid talk about it, and I know you see it this way too, Grim. Is that the game is too big now for any one person to know everything about it?
Yeah,
it's not possible. And I worked that out a while ago, like years ago, like around 2014. And my plan has always been to build a team of people, and everyone has like it's one of the reasons why I say John Citizen. And on our Discord, we have a professionals channel, because I want to bring people in that specialize in different areas. And so now whenever I want to do mining stuff, I just go talk to John.
Yeah,
and John tells me all about it.
In some places too, you even see CIG, I think, making decisions and dressing it up in lore to sort of counteract it. This whole terraforming with Nyx and all that. They came up with something way back when. The people that came up with a lot of those ideas have probably either changed their mind or not there anymore. Maybe they are there, but they've just changed their mind, or technology's changed, and so now they're changing stuff to account for that. So I think it's
even in the last couple of weeks they had to retcon something, because when they did that radio, you know, that podcast thing I was talking about, when they did that, they did a live call from teachers in Nyx to Horizon. You weren't able to do that.
Yeah,
that tech doesn't exist. That was the whole reason they had drones that would go through the jump point to send the messages.
Yeah.
So now they've retconned it, and if you look at the load screen that's coming for 4.5, it's all retconned.
Yeah, they've retconned the whole how communication works.
Yeah. So they're treading on their own feet, basically. Yeah. So again, you can't let story dictate gameplay, but that's what the gameplay, the story team is there for to do, is to fill in those gaps and make things feel more real. But I do think there are times though where the lore team could stand up a bit and say, could we make this instead of this, because then this would make more sense?
Yeah.
And I don't want them to be able to go there and say, no, it must be concrete. But it would be really nice if, say, Dave Haddock and John had sat down and he said, look, I know you want a Crusader ship, but if we could make this Kruger, it would have been worked a lot
more
better.
Sense and strengthen both brands. Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, Kruger was not very popular within CIG. I know that from some of the people I talked to in the past. But now with the Wolf that's come out and all that shit, and it's just going to another level, they are like, wow, all right, so now Kruger's not so bad. And that's how they need to think about it. They need to see it as an exploration on, if this manufacturer is shit, how do we make it better? Yeah. That's how you improve. You use lore to enhance and improve.
Yeah.
It's not just, you know, so again, if you've now destroyed who Crusader was, right? Crusader was like obviously named after the Crusades, and they were very religious, but now you've got them killing people. That just totally stuffs with it. It's interesting. I get that. It's kind of interesting, but it would have been far more interesting to have left them as, like, you know, futuristic Normans. That's also interesting as well. Like in The Expanse, they had that massive Norman ship that they were going to send out. Remember that one?
Yeah.
So I see that there's tie-ins to other sci-fi, but now we don't have anything like Crusader. So do they now go make another manufacturer that does what Crusader was going to be?
On that exact point, the comparison between the Hercules trailer and the Spirit A1's trailer, it goes from being Crusaders like doing peacekeeping work and humanitarian stuff to they're just blowing people up in the fucking
well, again, you look at all the other ships other than the Ares and they fit into the old Crusader lore. It's just the Ares that stuff with it. In fact, I would almost try and do a retcon. I'd literally say, let's take the Ares and make it a Kruger ship and put another ship back in its place. But again, now they've done that, people are going to complain. That's the problem. It only takes one person to complain and you can't fix something.
This is why I created this particular poster right here of Hercules A2s leading the charge for a Pioneer, just carpet bombing so that construction can begin. So it's peace through
Gotta
violence.
tear down the old to build up the new. I get how it
exactly.
works. Yeah.
Max, we're gonna move on. We're gonna do our
100%.
giveaway now. But Max,
Love
thanks for coming on.
See you guys around.
Thank you, Max.
Yep. Thanks. All right, everybody, we're going to do the giveaway. If you are over on YouTube, all you had to do was go to the link pinned to the top of chat, leave a comment on that part 3 of my new player guide. Hopefully you did that. You have about 20 more seconds to do that, so be quick. That is the link pinned to top of chat. We're going to pull a random comment from there. We're going to put your name into the random wheel of names. Then we're going to go to Stream Elements. We have 1,266 tickets purchased by 161 entrants. So do exclamation ticket if you want to buy a ticket. And whoever will take both of those names and put you in the random wheel of names will spin it. Whoever wins will win the Elysium patch bundle. Pretty cool skin for the Cutlass series. Pretty cool armor and pretty badass gun. So get in while you can. We'll give it just another few seconds here, about another 10 seconds, and then we're going to do the random YouTube comment. While we're waiting for that execute, I mean, I guess I would say that with engineering, CIG has given us a lot to talk about till February. I think there's going to be a lot of debate, a lot of, of like re-education on where, CIG's intent is for ships, especially the bigger ones, and what that multi-crew looks like. But you said it at the beginning of the show, at the end of the day, this was always planned, So.
No, I agree. Look, and it's no good substitute for a ship's alert video. I don't care what you do. I agree.
I agree. Yeah. Shameful.
All right, no tinfoil hats until we get a ship's alert video.
All right, everybody, we're going to pull the random YouTube comment. Good luck, everybody. I do appreciate everyone hanging out tonight. It's been a great crowd. We had up to about 250 at one point on Twitch and about 170 on YouTube at one point. So appreciate all of you coming out. Do appreciate that support. Again, if you want to support me and my endeavors, feel free to via this coffee link. Do appreciate it. Here we go, everybody. Going to do the random YouTube comment poll. Good luck. I don't know why that window keeps popping up. All right, Alex Samp BSB, congrats. By the way, if you win, you will need to contact me via Discord. Contact me via Discord, and then I will work out your prize handoff. Okay. So, Alex, congratulations on YouTube. You are one of the semifinalists. We have put you in the random wheel of names. Great job. You didn't have to do much, but you did your part. All right, over on Stream Elements now, all you had to do is exclamation ticket. You got about another 10 seconds, everybody, another 10 seconds. We got 174 entrants, 1,377 tickets purchased. You got about 5 seconds now. Good luck, good luck. All right, 3, 2, and 1. All right, everybody, we're going to close the giveaway. Good luck. Giveaway is closed. We're going to draw the winner and scroll down to the bottom. And Texas Horny Toad, our good buddy Texas Horny Toad, he's become semifinalist a few times on things. We're going to put his name into the random wheel of names. I just accidentally hit enter. So there we go. It's been spun. I didn't get to build that up.
You could just do it again because you normally do a lot more.
Texas won. I usually do more. But Texas won. I can't respin. Policy. You know the policy.
Yeah, I just say I did it by accident and do it again. But anyway.
Texas, congratulations. Appreciate you, Texas. Just contact me on Discord or whisper me on Twitch, and I'll get your email. We'll get you sorted out. I didn't mean to hit spin as quickly as I did. I was going to add double up the entries, but I got stupid fingers today. It's been a long day. I had a long day at work, so there you go. Execute. What can people expect from the info runners this week? You got a show tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, we'll do a live stream tomorrow. Agrid will be along for that one. Cool. I'm probably gonna be honest, I might take the weekend off though and do a pre-recorded one we've got, but also Agrid just hit me with that he wants to do a whole bunch of pre-recorded ones over the holidays because he's got his girlfriend coming to visit, so he wants to take some time off, and then I want to take some time off, so it looks like we're gonna have a lot of work to bundle up. So
very nice.
Yeah, I have to figure out. I don't know. See what happens.
I do know, real quick, I see, who was it? Spike says, hey, Grim, when you adding new ships to Hangar Fleet Viewer so I can update my fleet? Very, very soon. Stay tuned for that. We're only like a day or two away on that. They're not live yet, but again, you can see here, social posts have already been created for the new ships. Clipper's done, as you see here. New Perseus is done. L22 Alpha Wolf is done. The MDC is done, and the Galamox is done. The only one we are finishing up now is the Salvation. Thank you, VMXEO, for doing that work. So we're just waiting on Salvation. It's already in progress, though. Should be done tomorrow, and then it will be all off to Starlet for integration. I have to do some conform and metadata stuff to it before I hand it off to Starlet, but that usually only takes about 30 minutes. So we're very, very close. Hang in there. IAE brought a lot of ships, and whenever CIG dumps a bunch of ships on us at once, it's a lot to go through. Also, there's some non-IAE ships that are getting their art updated as well in their latest push. Offhand, I know it's the Zeus CL and the Zeus ES are getting all new art from Starfab. So, all right, we did our giveaway, which was a lot of fun. Now it is time to raid somebody. You know how it goes, everybody. We're gonna raid somebody. Looking through the list here. Okay, I know who I'm going to raid. Good dude. Talked to him before. We're going to send it over, and I hope you will take some of that STARJUMP love with you. Throw a follow his way. We're going to raid King Chaos. So give King Chaos a little bit of an 07 when you get over there from STARJUMP. Everyone, it's been awesome. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Obviously, tune into Info Runners. I actually don't have nothing going on tomorrow, so I'll have to stop by.
Yeah, definitely. More than welcome, as always.
My wife won't even be home, so I'll have truly nothing going on.
Oh, right. You'll be bored. Right. I get how it works now. I'm only, you only give me to come around when you're bored. What do we ask King Chaos? What do we get people to ask King Chaos when we get over there? Who wears the hat better, me or Grim?
There you go.
That's the question we want to know from King.
This is not a STARJUMP hat, by the way. This is my STARJUMP hat, but the hat I'm wearing still has SJ on it, so it makes sense for STARJUMP. So all right,
one's got nothing on it.
Yeah, you're going unbranded. All right, everybody, going to start the raid. Have a great rest of your evening. Again, give King Chaos an 07. Execute. Thanks for being on. As always, dude. I really appreciate it. I always love talking ships with you. I think we got a lot to talk about. Chat, you're amazing. Thank you for the support, the ongoing support, the follows, the subscriptions. I do appreciate it. Love you all. Sending you over there now. Have a great night.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.